within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Good morning. It's a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio, and we begin today's show on a somber note. Someone that has been a major part of the PressBox family, and beyond that has been a massive part of the Baltimore sports family, in particular the Baltimore baseball family, but not just the Baltimore baseball family. The great Jim Henneman passed away yesterday. I got a lot that I want to say about Jim Henneman and the impact that he had on me. But I wanted to start today. Normally Stan, the fan Charles, is in with us on Fridays, but he wasn't able to make it in today. And Stan has known Jim for a very long time and has been very close friends with him. So I wanted to make sure we spent a couple of minutes this morning letting Stan share some thoughts about a true Baltimore sports institution. Stanley, I love you, brother. I appreciate you taking a couple of minutes this morning, my friend.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Glenn. And you put a nice phraseology on there. He's an institution. Jim was synonymous with Baltimore Orioles baseball for close to, I guess, 65, 70 years in this town. He was a baseball player. I've over the past couple of days, when it's gotten this bad and Jim was in hospice, I've been using the phrase that he's a baseball lifer and a baseball lover. He's just synonymous with Orioles baseball.
No question, Stan, and it's beyond his talent as a writer. His talent, even he's 89 years old, and even within weeks he had been posting incredibly sharp and wonderful stories. But I feel like Jim's talent is almost somehow like secondary to the quality of human being that Jim Henneman was.
Yeah, you again nailed it. Jim was a very special guy and had the type of relationship he had with players like Ross Grimsley, like Jim Palmer, Ken Singleton, Boo Powell. Those kind of relationships really aren't built today,
right?
The way they were back in his day. He was just, I'll repeat it again. He was a very special person. And anecdotally, I will tell you that when I started PressBox, Glenn, there was a lot of moving parts to writing the business plan that I got help on. I got help from somebody, that Mark Luderman, who helped me write the business plan. We ended up going out and raising the money before we brought John Colson in. But once everything was in place to start the actual nuts and bolts of PressBox, Jim Henneman was the first person I reached out to. He had left the Sun. He had taken a buyout, I believe. And there he was. He was probably 72, 73 years old, or about 69 to 70. And I said, this is the guy I want sort of leading our baseball coverage. And I had sort of a certain amount of credibility, but I wasn't the writer that Jim was. And Jim, I think, gave PressBox instant credibility that he was part of the this new project in Baltimore.
Stan, I by the way, I would say that continued to this day, the credibility that Jim Henneman brought us, right? That obviously it was pressure on your part in the moment, but it never wavered. The number of times that I would be somewhere and I'd reference PressBox and Jim Henneman's name would come up very quickly. Someone who was, only writing kind of as he wanted to in recent years, right? But
Yeah.
it would be, oh right, Jim. I love Jim Henneman. That was the credibility that he gave to all of us.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And Jim will always have a special place in my heart, and should have a special place in the heart of baseball fans throughout Birdland.
Stan,
yeah.
I wanted to share, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it after you have to go, but you watched the way that Jim Henneman would treat every young person that came into the press box, not our company, but also in our company.
Yeah.
But just showed up in the press box, and the way that he would essentially take them under his wing and encourage them. And I'm not saying, in a way, it's sort of like Johnny Holiday, right, in our community. It's the two are very similar in that way. But can you explain what it was like to watch him do this over and over again to every younger person that came into his orbit?
Well, we've got a few people that are going to be chiming in on PressBoxOnline.com, and one of them wrote a piece immediately when I told him that Jim was in hospice. It was a little late for him to really be in touch with Jim directly, but he did talk to his daughter, Margie. And then he said, and I'd be happy to write something for you. And he wrote a beautiful piece last night. And that's Michael Janowski, who kind of interned, and Jim mentored back when Jim was the PR director of the Baltimore Bullets in the mid 1960s for about 2.5 or 3 years. And Mike Janowski went on to a career where he wrote for the Baltimore Sun for a number of years, the Miami Herald sports department for a number of years, and then finally the New York Times he was with for about 30 years. And then I mentioned to Peter Schmuck that Jim was, going into hospice, and Peter recollected how Jim took him under his wing when Peter moved here to Baltimore. Michael Olesker, a legendary name in journalism in Baltimore, and the same thing. And he was doing it to this day. He always had time for younger people, and he'll just be remembered so fondly, Glenn.
The joy that I would have just seeing Jim. Stan, I was joking with Dave Johnson. When I was at Jamie Costello's going away party, I was in the middle of a conversation with Dave Johnson, and Jim waved to me, and I lost my mind. I didn't even say, "Hey Dave, sorry, I got to." I just ran over to give him a hug because it was just it was that much joy that he would bring into my life. I had to come back and say, "Dave, I'm so sorry," and then Dave said, "No, Glenn, I understand. I understand. That's Jim Henneman, man. Just a special human being, and we were so fortunate to have him for as long as we did. And God, I will miss him.
Yeah, we all will. I apologize it's so short today because I would have looked forward to spending time and getting Peter or Michael on with us. But maybe we can do that.
Yeah, why don't we plan on that for next Friday? All right, Stan. We'll plan on making that a celebration. All right.
All right.
I love you, sir, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Love you too. Thank you for taking the time on this.
Absolutely,
Thank
Stan.
you. Bye-bye.
Stan the Fan Charles spending a few minutes with us here on a Friday morning. Boy, do I mean that, right? I was thinking about that night. It's one of the funniest things that I've ever. I mean, I was literally in the throes of conversation with Dave Johnson, who's a great guy in his own right, and obviously an Orioles legend, and we're just chatting, and all of a sudden, Jim, who at this point is probably 87 or so and is starting to deal with some health issues, he's sitting down. He can't stand. The rest of us are all standing. Kind of. We were at Little Havana that night, and Jim's sitting down, and I would see Jim with some frequency, not regularly, because I didn't go to games, as often as I probably should have. Or I do go to games. I just didn't sit in the press box. But it's not like I had, and Jim would message me constantly. It wasn't like seeing someone I hadn't seen in 40 years or something like that. But I just got to, I'm from the side view. I see Jim, he waves to me, and I'm literally, like, it's like I'm talking right now, and I just eject. Go over, give Jim Henneman a hug, because that's what Jim Henneman meant to me. And I did. I came back to Dave. I'm like, Dave, I'm so sorry. That was so unbelievably rude. And Dave said, no, Glenn, I get it. It's Jim Henneman. Yeah, Jim Henneman's a special human. Jim would go out of his way. He always jokingly called me a man for all seasons, right? And that made me feel like $1 million. The praise of Jim Henneman was better than any award that I could ever receive. It's Jim Henneman going out of his way. He'd just reach out. He'd say, boy, that was cool, Glenn. Boy, I enjoyed that. I can remember some of the things that he told me about. I mean, like that. It was that impactful to me. We don't. It's certainly not a tragedy. This is a celebration for Jim Henneman. We're sad. We are, because Jim Henneman at 89 was still as sharp, and we still, last summer, unfortunately, he had a health turn, but we were still planning on having him come in and do a day in studio like we would do every summer. Just talking baseball, telling stories. He loved talking about the Hall of Fame. It was something he was so intimately involved with. I loved when he would tell old basketball stories. You could talk to Jim Henneman for forever. And everyone who sat near him in a press box, who was the scorer for a while, you just soaked in every moment that you had. Every story he would tell you, and every bit of encouragement that he would offer. And boy, did he offer a lot of it. Stan started naming some of the names of the people that he impacted. That list can go on. That list, I know Dan Connolly, Rich Dubroff referenced it today, Rock Kabako, everyone that has come through and covered baseball in Baltimore had Jim Henneman take him under his wing. He didn't play favorites. It was everyone. I am so incredibly grateful for the relationship that I was able to. He would go out of his way when we would see each other to spend time with you, talk to you about your kids, and he was still incredibly sharp. I still loved reading him. And he was still writing at 89 until just a couple of weeks ago, as he was fighting cancer. Man, were we lucky. We were just so lucky to have Jim Henneman in our lives. And I want to do more to celebrate Jim Henneman. I think that's what we're going to try to. Next Friday, we'll do more of a tribute show with Stan in here, and we'll have some folks that impacted him. I think that's a good way of doing it. We had planned the whole show, and then we got the news last night that Jim had passed away, and we knew it was coming. Stan had been very close and in touch with Jim's family, and just a special human, and just someone that, he also wrote definitive books about the Orioles. There's a reason why the press box at Camden Yards is named after Jim Henneman. That's his impact. That's his legacy. And it's beyond fitting. That was his happy place. He would talk about how much he loved the press box. He loved the relationships. He loved the camaraderie. And he loved baseball. And he knew everyone. I'll peel the curtain back. You're going to hear from Buck Showalter later on this hour, and Buck and I had to record yesterday because of his schedule. But before we started recording, we spent about 20 minutes just talking about Jim Henneman. And Buck wanted to get in touch with Jim's family because that's how much Jim meant to Buck. You won't hear us talk about Jim during the interview because we didn't know when Jim was going to pass, and you don't want to predict something like that. It's macabre. But everyone, a beloved figure in Baltimore baseball, a beloved figure within this company, everyone that had a role of editor, everyone that, people that would just write, something about high school sports, trying to dip their toes in the water, trying to find a path forward in sports writing. PressBox, we're not the Baltimore Sun, and I know somebody would say the Baltimore Sun isn't the Baltimore Sun. We're not it's a place for opportunity to start your career. And those writers that are just trying to get a foot in the door would get messages from Jim Henneman. And he would be a resource for them. Invaluable. We are really lucky, man. Really lucky. And I'm telling you, the word is joy. The word is joy. When I would see Jim Henneman, I mentioned I don't go to the press box very often anymore. It's a personal thing. I don't get assigned to cover games. And I don't like being in a press box where I don't have a working purpose. Someone would say, and the Orioles and other teams would say, well, you do. You talk about us. So we want you here. But it's hard to explain that. So I don't do it frequently. I'll maybe do it once, twice a year. And when I'm there, I love seeing Dave Ginsburg, man. That's my guy. But boy, did I love seeing Jim Henneman. I loved seeing Jim Henneman. It would almost, to the point where I'd be like, man, I need to go to more games. Just so I can have more time with him. You go to PressBoxOnline.com right now. As Stan mentioned, Michael Janofsky already has a tribute up to Jim Henneman, and there'll be much more coming. And we'll continue to celebrate and honor the life of one of our own and one of the most special people that I've ever known. We'll do this. We'll grab a break, and then we'll come back in. We'll sort of set up the rest of the show, and we're going to talk to Buck Showalter. That's on the way. It's a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas combos, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious spilling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles' top prospect Samuel Basayo. PressBox is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as continue along on a Friday edition of the program. Hey, today's show is brought to you by County Sports Zone, winding down the year, the academic year in high school sports, and everything that you need to know about championship season you can find right now by going to countysports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Of course, the Orioles were, as expected, rained out last night in Boston and will instead play a doubleheader today. And they announced that Charlie Morton will start today. The odd one is they didn't announce that Cade Povich, who was scheduled to start last night, will start Game 2, and that could be they do not have an off day, obviously, on Monday, so this is much like the last time where they're going to need 6 starters in 5 days, and the doubleheader gives you the opportunity for a 27th, but it can't be Chase McDermott, right? When did McDermott pitch? He pitched on Tuesday? Was that when it was? What day did he?
Yeah, it was Tuesday.
Yeah, so it can't be McDermott.
Now, is there, with it being a doubleheader and the 27th man thing, does that make it like,
right?
Would that allow them to recall McDermott just for today, or
right,
that
he couldn't
has to be
start.
an injury?
He pitched on Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know.
Isn't Povich going Game 1? I thought
they announced that Morton was going Game 1.
Oh, okay, maybe.
No,
maybe
you're right.
It
might be Povich Game 1.
I was looking at like MLB.com, so it's possible they were.
No. I think you're right. I think they're right that it's Povich. They announced Povich Game 1. They haven't announced Game 2.
And they did not. Okay, but we assume
so
it's
I had that backwards.
Morton.
Well, that's what they had originally announced Morton for tonight. But again, when you need 6 starters in 5 days, your options are either to bullpen a later game or to send someone down to call up a starter to say, all right, well, I'm trying to think if you could do the math on somebody that you could feign an injury with to get McDermott back up, and I don't know who that would be. I don't think you have that option. And you're not carrying the, like, Cade Stroud or Colin Selby, like the obvious, hey, we're just going to send this guy down to bring up a starter.
So Trevor Rogers, I believe, has completed his rehab assignment, so he's just
when did he pitch?
I don't know. I'm looking it up right now.
The question is whether he'd be available. You would want to do this tonight, although Rogers.
So
I guess you'd have to option again. Do you have to option him again now that he's completed his?
Yeah, you would.
Because they optioned him last year. So that becomes interesting.
Rogers
to the point, like that
does have options.
Right, I know he's got options, but and I guess somebody would say because you can only use one once you option him at some point this year if Trevor Rogers isn't.
He last pitched on the 16th of May.
Okay, so that would seem likely to. We haven't seen anything that says he's in Boston, have we?
I've not seen anything that says that.
It would make a lot of sense.
Just like Orioles fans on Twitter just being like, well, Rogers might get a start this weekend.
It would make a lot of sense. Again, you would want the problem being there isn't obviously someone to go. Like that's the issue that you're dealing with because there's no Selby, there's no McDermott, there's no you're back to the conversation that we were having. When you got Kittredge back, you kind of lost your
bonus pitcher that could just go in order to make room for someone. So I think the question, using him as the 27th man, when does his rehab assignment expire? And you have to put him on the roster. That's the other part of this question. Or you have to option him.
I would assume his rehab's got to be up by now because he only made one start at non-AAA, and that was with Chesapeake back in April.
All right, whatever. The point being, it seems like you could bring him up today, have him be the 27th man.
It looks like he's on the 40-man right now.
And return him, but I still think you have to option him in order to do it. But you don't have to option anybody else. And that's the part of this is the trade-off would be you could do it tomorrow or Sunday or Monday or Tuesday. When you could do it Tuesday would be the next when you need a starter if you started Morton tonight. But then you'd have to option someone else in order to get him on the team. He can be the one that's optioned later today if he makes the start tonight. Spent a lot of time on that. It's my fault. The point is somebody's going to have to pitch tonight after Cade Povich does indeed start Game 1 for the Orioles this afternoon. So doubleheader today as part of a 4-game set in Boston. I haven't even looked at the weather to see if the rest of the weekend is good up there.
I think it's cold, but I do think it's supposed to be dry.
All right, so they've got that going for them, which is nice. The basketball last evening was meh. I mean, like the Thunder celebrate SGA winning MVP and then never really threatened. There was a moment early in the third quarter when Minnesota made a move to get back into the game. Got within 4, if I remember right. And then the Thunder proceeded to put the hammer down, got the lead out to like 24, and then, again, like, given how many of these we've watched these playoffs, you're still inclined to keep watching because you just never know. And as they got back within like 12 in the fourth quarter, there was another moment you're like, well, maybe, but it was never meant to be. And the Thunder pull away, and they take a 2-0 series lead to go back to Minnesota in the NHL. The Panthers just keep rolling as they pounded the Hurricanes.
Making the Caps look good.
Yeah, well, I never subscribed to like the team. You want the team that beat you to be the team that wins at all. That doesn't do anything for me. Like, who cares? But yeah, I get it. Like, they're getting pantsed, which suggests that maybe the Capitals would have gotten pants too. So I don't know. Maybe if you're a Capitals fan, you're like, whatever. We were just gonna get trounced by these guys anyway. But yeah, Florida goes up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals there as well. And was there anything else of relevance? I feel like that was it.
Not really.
Yeah, right. That was the story.
Mission Impossible came out last night, so that
did you see it?
I did. Yeah, I had to go. I had to go see him.
Why is that one that you need to see immediately?
I actually don't really care all that much about the Mission Impossible. My friend really wanted to see it, so he needed somebody to go with him, and I was like, oh, the Orioles got rained out. My baseball game got rained out. You know,
all right.
Why not go spend the evening with Tom Cruise?
All right, I'll give you that.
Worst ways I can.
I just haven't been able to keep up with it. I remember going to the movie theaters to seeing the first 2.
They don't do anything for it. I remember. So when like the 7th one came out, what was that?
Well,
2
everybody
years
kept
ago?
talking about how much better they got. Because like I always remember thinking
the stunts I think are definitely.
I think I remember thinking they were good in the original, like for the first couple. I was like, these are good movies.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
They're good.
And so I was trying to rewatch them a couple summers ago, and I was like, there's just too many of these. And
like
I
that's
just
my
kind of
problem.
gave up after the 3rd one.
I'm just
kind
of
like,
checked
these are
out.
like fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like I'm just sort of, and I know everybody keeps saying, dude, you don't understand. These are great. And I'm like, yeah, I guess, but it's just too many. Like, and somebody would say, you watch all the Rocky movies, right? But like Rocky did tap out after 5, and then they did it. They just had him as a character in another franchise. Like, it's a little bit different in that way. I don't know. This one's not one that's gonna. Somebody brought up the fact that
it's the Final Reckoning.
I haven't seen Sinners either. That was one.
That
but it's the same problem I said about Friendship, which is like
you don't go to movies.
I don't unless
you don't go to you only
unless
see
my
movies.
wife or kids is going with me. I'm not seeing it. It's just not happening. I don't have. It took me, by the way, after I put out that I needed a date to Sturgill Simpson, I had like 20 people offer to be my date to Sturgill Simpson. I actually felt bad because I was like ranking them. Like, would I have been? You know what? I had to turn down Jeremy Kahn. Jeremy messaged.
Did you just go to First Dibs?
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Like at First Dibs. And then Jerry messaged like, hey, did you find somebody? And I was like, son of a bitch. I should have invited Jeremy. That would have made all the sense in the world. But I'm going with my buddy Dario. But getting a movie date, it's not happening. It's just not happening in my life. Not the way that it works.
Sorry. I don't think you're missing out on too much on Mission Impossible 8.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, as I mentioned, we had to do this yesterday because of his very busy schedule, but an opportunity to catch up with one of our favorites here at GCR, the great Buck Showalter, right now on the program.
All right, so
yeah,
we're going to talk to Buck in just a second here. I got you.
People. This is.
We're ready to talk to Buck right now.
This is
set up perfectly.
This is my lot. This is my lot in life. Go ahead.
Well, it's always a pleasure here on GCR to catch up with the next guest, one of our favorites, something I learn something from every time I chat with him. He is the great Buck Showalter, and he's back with us now here on the program. Buck, it's Glenn. Always good to chat. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Glenn, nobody's that busy. I love all these people act like you can't take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. I got a little time on my hand. It's not got a couple of grandsons that I'm chasing around the ball yards, so to speak. Remember it was called a ball yard?
I do remember when it was called a ball yard. I'm wondering, when you say you have some time on your hands, I'm wondering if maybe we could fill that time somehow. But I'll think about that at a different point. I'll think about that later. Buck, I want to go back if I could, because I remember what a revelation it was when you arrived in Baltimore. And it was later in the season, obviously, than this. But we were just so caught off guard by the culture change, and we were so excited about the way that you talked about it. Like, everybody always reminds I don't care about the save rule, I care about the win rule, and it's one of my favorite things I've ever heard a baseball person say. And I wonder, because I know the following year it didn't necessarily pay off, but did you feel like that time, even when they were out of it, there was nothing that you were going to do that year, was beneficial for the foundation that was ultimately laid for the Orioles?
Oh, without a doubt. Not always popping your gums and trying to see how cool a saying you can have. It's it's an accountability factor. I remember the first time we lost a game when I had gotten there, and I'm walking down to the press room, and the doorman, the ushers, different people that have worked there forever got their head down and whatever. I'm like, hey, let's go. You want to feel like, Glenn, that losing's a fluke and you can't wait till the sun comes up because you can get back to reality. Sometimes the baseball guys get you. Now, we weren't there yet. It was good to kind of keep your mouth shut, step back, take a look at things, and realize there were some very good people that went before you that had some challenges. And I think one of the biggest mistakes is when you go into a situation that's been struggling, you think everything there is bad, and you got to get rid of everything. That's a big mistake people make. There's some really good people there. You just got to change the atmosphere, and guess what, Glenn? Get better players.
Yeah, that
that's
helps.
how it works.
Yeah, that helps. I asked that because I do wonder, as much as everybody says, hey, whenever you want to hire a manager, you want to do it after the year because you want to have the largest pool of candidates that you can possibly have. And perhaps because I think so much about how immediately the culture seemed to change when you arrived in Baltimore, I find myself saying, I don't know. I don't know that it's the best thing for a team to kind of continue to wander and not know who the manager is going to be and not have those. Do you need to put someone in place before then? Does it need to be something that you do during the course of a year?
I think every situation is a little different, Glenn, and it also depends on who you're bringing in. It's kind of like a cheat sheet for the following year. It's kind of like think about a college baseball or football program that fires their coach and put an interim guy in. Well, what happens to the recruits? What happens to the NIL people? What happens? I know at Mississippi State, where I went to school, they fired their coach about 3 weeks ago, and every one of the players jumped in the portal.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's a different world. But it really isn't. I mean, it's kind of like, manager is kind of like the jockey in the Triple Crown races, and the GM used to be the trainer, so to speak, where you worked hand in hand and you were, partners, and the manager rode the horse, so to speak, and the GM kind of was the trainer. And I'm not saying it's bad or good or whatever. It's just a little different dynamic. Some people still do it I cut my teeth with Gene Michael and John Hart and guys who'd been around, and we always came to an agreement about who our coaches were going to be. We didn't cram anybody down each other's throat. We both had some ability to strike somebody, but we always end up with people we were both comfortable with.
I wonder, Buck, I know the affinity that you have for Brandon Hyde. We've talked about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think from our conversations, I like Brandon Hyde a heck of a lot too. The argument that people make that sometimes you can move on from a manager and it creates a spark, right? It's what maybe shakes things up and gets people going. Knowing you never want to see anyone lose their job. Is there anything to that, or is that just some nonsense that we say into a microphone because we have to fill time?
Well, I keep saying it depends on who you bring in, who is the next guy, and Billy Martin told me a long time ago, he goes, Buck, you're a ship passing in the night. He said they're going to mourn you for about 5 minutes, and they're going to wonder who the next guy is coming in and how it's going to. And that's a little cold. I try not to look at it like that, but there's some truth to it, The game will survive without you. You better keep that in mind. I texted with Brandon. I had left him a message. But, your heart goes out to guys and your family and stuff because you pour everything into it. And then, and some players will grieve it, think they could have done a better job. But, that's not their job. They're 25, 26. They don't carry those emotions yet. You got a lot of guys right now with Baltimore facing some failure for the first time in their life. They were, whether it be travel ball and all the different things they're involved in. And if they get through this, and they do have, I believe I looked today, 114 games left, 114. Okay. And everybody thought Minnesota was done 3 weeks ago, and look at them now.
Right.
So it can happen, but usually to put a good streak together, your pitching staff has to get hot. Everybody talks about hitters getting hot and all this stuff. The pitching staff has to get hot. That's usually what allows you to put a big streak together.
You and I have had a number of conversations in the last few years about the role of a modern manager in baseball. And I wonder if, in a moment like this, it becomes critical that the next manager of the Baltimore Orioles be someone who carries, a proverbial bigger stick, someone with some cachet, experience, high-level success that can walk in and say, hey, I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, but I think you need to be willing to listen to an on-field baseball person, and maybe the power needs to shift a little bit more between the front office and the on-field coaching of this team.
Well, that doesn't happen as much anymore. Actually, the ones that you see how close the two are usually go hand in hand. I know what a close relationship and how much they value A.J. Hinch and Joey Coras, those guys in Detroit. They have a lot of say. What's the old expression? You want me to cook dinner, but I can't pick the groceries or help pick the groceries. Yeah. But I think that was Parcells.
Yep.
But we, in a perfect world, but it doesn't exist. And some guys don't want that guy down in the clubhouse. They want to be able to, kind of, I call it a strong suggestion. It's maybe they should put a suggestion box outside your office. I had a very veteran player star come in my first time I was somewhere and put the lineup. Hey, take a look at this lineup. This is what I think we should play. And I just handed it back to him. I said, you know what? Why don't you go play X position? I'll take care of this. I mean, but it's not their fault. I mean, it's what they've been allowed to do. And I love the input. I can't how many times a day I would and do say, hey, what do you think? Here's what I'm kind of thinking. What do you got? The greatest accolade you can pay a man is ask his opinion. And I'm sure that they did that in Baltimore. But people are very passionate about what they do. And when you've had things tried and tested and seen how it ends up if you don't follow a certain mode of operation, I try to keep people from stepping on their tail. And they go, why? I said, because I did that. I did what you're getting ready to do. It doesn't end well.
Buck Showalter with us on GCR. Buck, is that true no matter who you are? Like, is the power balance? We like to imagine from afar that you don't hire a Bruce Bochy or a Terry Francona type without saying we understand the power is going to shift to on-field. Maybe a Buck Showalter type, if you will.
But Glenn, that's why those guys survive so long. It's not about power. It wasn't that way with me. I mean, it's about, they're very team oriented, and let's all have input, and let's all listen. And I look at Terry and Bruce and Bob Melvin and Wash. I've been in meetings with those guys, and they're asking, "What do you think? Hey, what do you think? What do you think about this guy?" I mean, it's just the opposite. Those guys are very welcoming to things from upstairs. I'm not so sure sometimes if the guys upstairs are as welcoming to what the guys down on the field have to bring.
That's the part that I that's the part I keep getting back to, and I don't know, right? I've been given reason to think that Mike Elias has had a bit more of the power here in Baltimore, but I'm not there every day, to your point. I know you're not, right? So we don't know these things. But I do wonder if once you go through something like this where a change had to be made, wouldn't everybody involved, ownership, everyone want to sit down and say, hey, maybe we need to rethink what all of this looks like moving forward and how all of our decisions are made, and maybe it becomes a bit more collaborative?
Well, and maybe it is. I'm not going to weigh in on how to land the plane with the pilot. I don't know. I'm sure that, there's some very good people there in charge that are going to probably do those things, and I've already done them. I mean, I try to keep that in mind, but I think you'll see some different things. I'm not that close to it.
Mm-hmm.
I did talk to Adam Jones the other day for the Hall of Fame induction. That'll be fun. I may go back there.
Oh,
see the first time I went back.
Oh, that would be awesome. Oh, that would be so cool.
I haven't been back. Well, I haven't been invited, but that's okay too. But
it's not okay.
They got what? Tom Davis and Orsolek. I think a lot of people don't realize what a good player Orsolek was.
Joe
Orsolek was a good player.
He was. He was a hell of a player.
No, but you can tell I'm trying to change the subject.
I know you are. I can understand that. I know your stuff. And by the way, I know you've. Look, you know the way this is. We're gonna want you here in Baltimore, no matter what, Buck. Like, let's make that abundantly clear. As we've said a million times, you're beloved. Not knowing that you're nobody's giving you a call. You've made that very clear based on what your last answer is. If somebody called, would you say, "Hey, I need to know more about what that front office looks like"? In order to consider that? Is that something that a manager has to go through, whether it's you, whether it's Skip Schumacher, whoever it is, that has to say, hey, I see you've got some talent. That's great, but I need to know more about what that collaborative relationship looks like moving forward?
Well, I think most good baseball men, I call it a curiosity. I have a great curiosity about things I don't know and things I don't understand. Like I know what I'm not good at, like teaching catching. If I saw John Russell working with Matt Wieters, I always tried to kind of get up next to him and listen because I wanted to be better at it. I had a curiosity about it, and you learn something every day. I mean, I see stuff on the field, and I go, "Wow, I don't think I've seen that before." But it depends. I that's a tough question to answer, and that's why you ask it, and I appreciate it. But I'm hoping that everything works out. Orioles win 10 in a row, and everybody's talking about here we go. And they get some people healthy, and I don't wish bad on anybody. Life's too short. But, I'm pulling for. I was looking at Adley today, and everybody talks about Adley this and that. Adley's doing okay. There's a lot of people. If you don't like Adley, ask 31 clubs. They'll take him. He, I think sometimes we expect him to be, he's playing a premium position. He's, when you have a catcher that's an offensive threat in your lineup, it's pretty special. So that's not their problem. It's just the consistency of the starting pitch. I know you're not saying that.
No. I'm actually fascinated by this because, as you'd imagine, Adley's been compared to Matt Wieters a lot recently, and I think you and I have talked before.
What's wrong with that?
I love Matt Wieters, right? Matt Wieters was a very important player on very good baseball teams, but yet when you bring his name up, there's a lot of but what wasn't he? And I'm interested in that because Adley will forever be judged by the fact that he was a 1-1 pick in the draft.
Is that his fault? You know what I mean? That's what I ask people a lot. They want to talk about this guy and that guy. They're both good players. I mean, trying to critique it. I know those conversations that go on behind the scenes about trying to project them and, until the product's over with. I remember when I first got there with Matt, there was some rookie hazing. I hate hazing of rookie young players. Mm-hmm. And I remember calling Matt in, I think 2 or 3 weeks in there and said, "Hey, Matt, close the door." I said, "Here's what I need you to do. All these people that are making it a little tough on you," I said, "they're going to be gone. They're not going to be around when we do what we want to do here. I said, I need you to be the big guy. You just walk around, know that I got your back, that you're going to be our catcher, and I need you to start being a peacock, okay? And those guys are going to be a pimple on your forehead in another 6 months, so don't worry about it. And we talked later about what that meant to him, just to go, hey, go be Matt Wieters. Let her, whatever that is, that's okay. We like it. And Matt cared about the pitching staff. He was a threat at the plate. And what people miss about Matt Wieters, he was durable.
That's a great point. That's a really great point, Buck. Yeah, he was there, man. I hate when people talk about Matt Wieters in this town, because Matt Wieters was a damn. Sure. I hate it because nobody talks about it appropriately. He was a damn important part of really good baseball teams and should be respected that way.
He was culture too. He was a guy that teammates respected. Good leaders, players want to please them. Players want to please. Whether it's Markakis or Jeter, or Adam Jones or J.J. Hardy, do the players want to please them? Do they not want to let them down, so to speak? And Matty was that guy. I mean, he posted up, and they talk about all these stats and numbers and everything they look at when they're trying to evaluate players. I look at one thing to start off with, Glenn. I look at games played. All that other stuff is great, but it doesn't matter if you're not on the field. Okay? And there used to be an old expression, I remember an old scout would go, he's a bad tissue guy. And I'd go. And I remember talking to some doctors later on, because there is such a thing, guys that just don't heal well, and guys that are kind of injury prone. So I always remembered that. So I always looked at games played.
I think it's important. I think it matters, Buck. I'm with you on all of those things.
Well, I think sometimes we create that a little bit in today's game.
Yeah.
It's like the guy that goes in and says, does your finger hurt? No. Now does it hurt? No, it doesn't hurt. About the fifth time, you go, well, it is a little sore.
Now that you mention it.
Right. Yeah. I watch these guys, and I don't want to say it's not their fault. I mean, we're always projecting, well, let's do this today for that tomorrow. Posting up's important.
So
I remember guys used to do a lot of things that, is not acceptable today.
Can I come back to Adley for a second? Does there become a point where the production is troublesome enough for a long enough period of time that you do have to have Bordy referenced the other day the idea of sending him down. And I don't think the Orioles have the luxury of doing that. I don't think that's an option. But, is there a point at which the production is a certain number for a while and you say, we've got to talk about this?
Okay, let's compare him with the other 31 catchers. Okay, he's going to hit 20 home runs. He's probably going to hit 270 before it's over. He's going to walk a lot. He's going to be on base. And he's going to catch a pitching staff and bring sincerity. And I don't know what, and I'm not as close to it as y'all are. Right. Maybe if I watched it more, I might feel it. But he's got a good face. I'll see a highlight and he's beating himself up on something. And he doesn't need to be, he just needs to go catch and play, and play. He doesn't need to worry about satisfying so many people, And unfortunately, with today's social media, you never know what these guys are being exposed to once they leave the locker room.
I understand that thought. I feel like, to your point, if everybody saw him hitting 270 right now, I don't know that we'd be having this conversation, right? I think that's
he's hit 270 before in a big league.
He has,
so he's also he's had over 500 bats twice. Take a look at how many catchers are posting up for 500 plus at bats. Not many. So we always dwell on the negative instead of what he does bring. He's one of those guys you probably won't completely miss till he's gone, where you're chasing another catcher. That's usually in the draft. The old scouts would tell you the graveyard is high school catchers and sometimes college guys, but you still got to take them. You can't play the game without them. There's a lot of catchers, Glenn, in the big leagues are converted position guys from Latin America. I know that's what we did with Posada. I remember the first time I saw Posada playing second base down in the instructional league. And Clete Boyer was talking about moving him behind the plate.
Did you think that he was that good?
I know he wasn't going to play second base. He couldn't move very good. He threw well and was just starting to switch it. Back then.
Hell of a player, man. He was a hell of a player.
anybody 17 or 18 years old, we always started switch hitting them and made them fail. You know, I saw that. I guess Cedric quit hitting right-handed, but you know, I know with Bernie Williams how he fought me tooth and nail about hitting left-handed. Boy, he hated it. He hated it.
Let me I want to pose this without you thinking that I'm asking something else, right? So can I understand? I'm not asking you this to try to get you to answer a different question when I say it this way. Mm-hmm. If they called, right? If they did, would there be any awkwardness from how it ended? Like, would that be a factor for you at all? Would you be able to completely just say, I don't care about that. I would talk about the job. That's it.
Well, no, I don't. First of all, you know how it ended. It was a heck of an honor. I stayed there 8, 9, 10 years. I'd have to look it up, but you know, to survive that long in a great town, a great ballpark, there's nothing awkward.
Okay.
But no, we've got a place up there that we go to when I visit my son.
I know.
But I don't want to get. You know, I'm hoping that they win the next 10 games. I really, you know, I don't. It's as far as awkward baseball people, you know, you're around each other every day, and that stuff gets put in the back burner very quickly if there is something like that because you're trying to win. And I know about players and stuff. They'll go, "Hey, let me tell you about this player you're gonna have," and I go, "Hold on a second." I said, "I appreciate it, but let me make up my own mind. Let me give this guy a fresh start, so to speak, because I found out a lot of things." I remember Tommy Pham. I remember Carl Everett. I remember all these guys that everybody said were going to be tough to manage. Randy Johnson, Max Scherzer, Kurt Schilling. They weren't at all. You know, if you go into it with an open mind and you're straight up with them, what they didn't want was any phony stuff. They really liked to mix it up, and they liked somebody that was kind of in their face, so to speak.
Buck, I'm not going to lie to you. I would like for them to make that phone call, although it would probably mean.
That's not.
I know what you're saying. I appreciate that. This is Glenn Clark now saying.
Well, they got a lot of. Well, is it Mansolino? Are they going to keep him? Maybe they'll keep him.
I haven't been able to feel that out at all. Right? Like I think a lot of people were surprised that it was him and not Chirinos or Buck Britton that was given the first shot at it, and that is interesting.
Well, maybe they're wanting somebody to make a fresh start. You asked a great question earlier. You know, I think each situation is a little different. I think when Andy McPhail came here to Dallas to talk to me, he really wanted me to kind of get a feel for what was going on there and not have that unknown of the off season. And in that situation, it was a good move. Some other ones that I would think wouldn't be, so to speak. But, you know, to get some hot starting pitching and get some people back that have been hurt a lot of the year, you know, they could get on a roll. I'm not so sure. I don't know how you feel about that division this year. Detroit's for real.
It's definitely not as good as we thought it was coming into the year. There's no question about that. Nobody's running away.
Well, I think when Tampa playing outside, I knew that was going to be a challenge for them. Is when they're pitching in that ballpark is so good, and when they had to play their home games outside. That's why you got to be careful about taking a pitcher that's pitched in that ballpark on your team because it's different. You know, they got a lot of foul ground. The lighting's not real good. They got the thick turf. There's a lot of good things about pitching in that ballpark.
Are you giving the speech when Adam goes in? Is that what you guys were talking about?
Oh, I don't know. Adam called me from Spain the other day. I don't even know what we're supposed to be talking about. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it.
Buck, here's the hilarious part too. Adam, like last year, was like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to move back. I think I'm going to move back here." And I said, "That's awesome." And then like 2 weeks later, he's like, "No, why would I do that? I'm in Spain. Like my life is. His wife's happy."
You know what I feel great about? Obviously, this guy saved his money and invested properly. I'm so good about it. He and his wife, they're both, you know, I know his wife wouldn't let him, but Adam would. I think Adam's smart enough. He's very smart. And no, I'm trying to still decide whether I'm going to do it. And
man,
we'll see. Man. It's a great event.
It's awesome
for Adam. I know Tom Davis. That's a good move too. I'm happy for him.
Tom's the best. He's ours, right? He's so uniquely Baltimore, isn't he? He's just so uniquely. He's one of us.
Now, I haven't kept up with it. They moved the fences back, and now they moved them back in a little bit.
Yeah, not the entire not the entire way back in, sort of in between the two.
So why? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what was different.
They said they thought they overcorrected in the process.
Overcorrected. Okay.
Yeah.
I know one thing. Looking at it, no one would ask me. I was worried about the safety factor. Adam and I were talking about that the other day. That jut out there, that's the first thing I would think about.
I hate
it. The safety factor.
I hate how it looks. I think you're 100% right about the safety factor. Like, I don't know how we ever have those in ballparks. Like, I
don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't want everything to be cookie cutter, right? Like, I know that that's part of what baseball is we like that the ballparks look different.
The yard's so good.
Right.
Yeah.
But those juts, anywhere they are, whenever I see a jut, it feels very Little League to me. It feels
when it's contrived, when it's like it's put in there instead of part of, like, the building was already there in right field. It wasn't like somebody built it afterwards.
Right.
The tunnels going around that place. I don't know if you've ever been through some of the tunnels underneath that thing. I have. There's some things I don't want to know. But
I actually haven't. Not all of them.
I'm always surprised when ballparks, new and ones that they renovate, that the Players Association doesn't get involved with the safety factor. I know one of the first things I asked Peter to do when we redid Sarasota, I want to make it the safest ballpark in the Grapefruit League. And we did. We padded everything. We made sure the wall had the proper padding, the foul poles, the dugouts, because I wanted to feel like, our guys would come out of games healthy if we could, the things that we could do with it. We did make the hitting background better so that the guys could see the ball. That's why Adam used to kid. He had a pair of gray pants. He didn't have a pair of gray pants in his locker, him and Markakis, because I wasn't going to take them to Dunedin and some of those places that everybody got hurt in. I'm just always surprised that the Players Association doesn't get involved more with ballpark safety. Like Houston's got their left field fence is got rivets and screws sticking out of it.
Right,
that's okay.
Well, and they did the hill. The hill. I mean, obviously they got rid of it, but like, how did that ever exist?
It's called fake nuance, is what it is.
Yeah, right. Like, we'll think it's cool because it's different.
They used in Boston. Every time there was a left-handed pitcher going there, you can't see his curveball if they sell the seats that the curveball comes out of.
Sitting. Yeah, that's a great point. Right.
I'm not paranoid. I'm alert. I used to go.
Wait a second. Did it bother you? You and I have never talked about this. When the Orioles hired you, I had worked in Arizona from 06 to 08, Buck. Mm-hmm. And I called a lot of my friends that I knew, and they said, you're going to really like him, but he's a micromanager. Did it bother you that you had that reputation when you were like, yeah, I'm just trying to do like what's better for the team?
No, you are what you are. I don't. People that really don't know, but if you bring in every situation what's needed. There, we were starting up from scratch.
Right.
We had to start a farm system. We had to start a scouting department. We had to design the locker room and the dugout and the foul poles and center field fence, different things. So you had to be on top of it. We had to start a Latin American program. We had to, I was going all over the place. And so that kind of comes with it. But it was nice to get to Baltimore with Andy McPhail and the things that were in place, Brian Graham, and all I had to do was manage the team. So, you bring what they need you to bring. I always ask them, what do we need? What do you need that's missing that I can help with? And that's all. So that type of stuff, you bring what you're supposed to bring. We didn't have a lot of policies that we got credit for out there. It's kind of a running joke. Kurt Schilling called me the other day about something, and he was talking about some of the fallacies that they had come out of there that really weren't true. But that's the world we live in, Glenn.
Buck Showalter, I always appreciate it. You are far too kind to me, my friend. Thank you for doing this, and let's talk again real soon, all right?
Well, when you got to worry is when they quit asking, Glenn. Take care of yourself.
It's Buck Showalter, obviously, and Buck, let me clarify for those of you that Buck will not, if you ask Buck, do you want the job, he's going to say, it's not a job. He's never going to be the type to make it seem like he wants a job that someone else has. It's the respect and reverence that he has for everybody in this profession. And even if that's an interim manager, that's the way that he is. So knowing that, the two things that I thought were most interesting were his perspective on. I really was taken aback the other day when we had Will Leach on, and I brought up Skip Schumacher. Will's everybody knows is a massive Cardinals fan. And he kind of said, yeah, for the Orioles, Skip Schumacher makes all the sense in the world, but I don't know if that makes sense for Skip Schumacher. I was like, what? He doesn't have a job. The Orioles have Gunnar Henderson and Jackson Holliday and maybe Adley Rutschman. Like, who wouldn't want that job? And his point was, I don't know that Skip Schumacher, in reference his history with the Marlins, would want to work for a too involved front office. And that struck me. Like, is that a detriment? Are the Orioles, like, is Mike Elias' power going to change? Or is he going to be told, yeah, go hire your guy, and he's just going to keep looking for the next person that will fit in with his system? Because if that's the case, then I don't think a reunion with Buck Showalter or with any of these other managers that have a little cachet, David Ross, whoever that would be, would ultimately make a whole lot of sense. And then it's the awkward part. It's the part of, like, this is an organization that let you go. And you could say they didn't fire Buck Showalter. They just moved on at the end of a contract. And I acknowledge that the people that were involved then aren't the people that are in leadership positions. Like, the Angeloses are no longer here. Now, ironically, Buck actually had a really good relationship with the Angeloses. But that is, like, I feel like that's the first thing that we think about when anybody brings up the idea of a Buck Showalter reunion is like, really? Like, you don't go back to that. That's not the way that this works. You're just saying that because you like the guy, or he was the guy that was here, or he's the name that you know, or whatever. But I do think that Buck absolutely fits the profile of kind of what I think is needed in this moment. Which doesn't mean he's the only one that fits the profile, and it doesn't mean that he's even the most logical choice. If you take away the love that we have for Buck, if we take away that part of it, someone would remind me that Earl Weaver's second act in Baltimore, which many of us forget about, wasn't anything like his first act in Baltimore. If you read The Last Manager, Jim Miller's book, it was almost like a bastardized tenure for Earl Weaver the second time around. I'm not suggesting it would be that with Buck Showalter, and I think that the Orioles would be well served to try to find, someone more in that 45 to 60-year-old, somebody that from an age profile maybe fits the bill a little bit more. But that doesn't mean that I don't think Buck Showalter can do the job at this point in his life.
So do you think it needs to be someone more somewhere between Ryan Flaherty and Buck Showalter?
I don't think Ryan Flaherty makes sense. I think the next manager of the team needs to be someone with cachet, with sway. It's not their first managerial job. They're not inclined to default to the front office. Their inclination is based on my experience and everything I've accomplished in this game. I would argue Skip Schumacher's on the lower end. Truth be told, Skip Schumacher doesn't have as much experience as Brandon Hyde. But the way that people talk about him within baseball makes me think that
people have a lot of reverence for him.
That he carries himself as someone who is very accomplished. And as a player, he was certainly very accomplished. And I do think that matters, unlike a Brandon Hyde who did not have that as a player. Skip Schumacher's career as a player, David Ross's career as a player, combined with their managerial experience, I think gives them some sway, some cachet as a manager that maybe goes beyond what Brandon Hyde had. I don't think this job should be for a first-time manager right now because I think the entire structure needs to change. If the structure isn't changing, then
It seems like it's a job for someone that's either a first-time manager who just desperately wants to be a manager again. I'll do whatever I got to do. If that means that I'm half-manager robot, fine. I don't care. I'll do anything. But that's not who I think this job should be for.
What were your thoughts on Girardi as a...
A lot of people brought up like Girardi's failure in Philadelphia. It's like, why would that? This is the scenario where you just fired your guy, and you want to bring in the guy that got fired. I think Girardi has a fair amount of cachet. I don't know enough about the ego of Joe Girardi. One of the criticisms of Joe Girardi was his usage of the bullpen as a manager. I think that's easy to criticize. A lot of times that just means you don't really have a very good bullpen, and there is no particularly good use of your bullpen. Like the decisions you made never worked. Well, sometimes that's because like there was no decision that was going to work. You just didn't have the guys. But from the cachet profile, he absolutely successful as a player, has had success as a manager. 100%. You would think that if Joe Girardi's coming in here, he's not coming in here to just take barking orders. That he's coming in here to have his influence matter, for his opinion to be relevant in the process. So, yeah, that fits the bill of what I'm not sure if he's the top of the list, but it fits the profile of what I think the Orioles should be looking for in their next manager. We'll come back in. We'll do This Week in the Rest of Baseball, and then we're going to chat with Griff O'Ferrall of the Ironbirds, as we got a couple of Orioles prospects we're going to talk to this hour. That is on the way on a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles' top prospect Samuel Basayo. PressBox is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com. PressBox.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, we, of course, heard from Stan the Fan a little bit earlier on. Don't forget, every Monday, Stan, former Oriole Ross Grimsley, and Luke Jackson are talking baseball with you. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. As always, Stan's shows are brought to you by the Costas Inn. We talk a lot of Orioles during the week. We don't talk a lot about the rest of baseball. Let's do that now.
This week
in the rest of
baseball.
All right. What else is going on in the world of baseball this week, Griffin?
Baseball. So, I mean, who do you think's going to be fired this week, I guess? Is that should we
right, that's true.
It's been
3 for 3. Yeah,
three
you
straight
did ask
weeks.
last week if you thought it was going to happen again.
Do you have any
No.
You don't want to do a Deadpool
nope, I'm good.
For baseball managers?
Let's move on.
Do you know who the current leader in RBIs is right now?
Javi Baez.
No, not Javi Baez. It's not.
I don't.
It's going to be, I believe it's our Aaron Judge at the moment.
No, okay. Well, then why did you ask that question?
Well, because
That's
I'm trying to get
quite
to the next one.
Okay.
Number 2, Seiya Suzuki.
I liked Seiya Suzuki.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
the Cubs are scoring ungodly amount of runs.
they're fun.
Yeah. So Suzuki number 2, and then number 3, San Francisco Giants.
San Francisco Giants. I don't think it's Lamont Wade.
No, it's not Lamont Wade.
Who else?
Yeah, how many Giants can you name?
That's a fair. What the hell just happened there? Apparently, I've got the hiccups. That's great. Who else can I name from the Giants? Wow. Helio Ramos, right?
Yeah, he's a Giant. He is not leading. He's not. He's not top 3 in baseball.
Yaz is still there, isn't he?
He is. He's not known for driving in runs.
One of the Mats.
There's
Chapman.
Chapman
right?
is there, but he's not leading the league in RBI. That's a better guess.
I don't know.
Wilmer Flores has 42 RBI. That is third most in all baseball, and temporarily over the weekend, he did lead all of baseball in RBI. Mostly because of a massive game that he had last Friday. He had 3 home runs and 8 RBI.
Yeah, he did.
Obviously, yeah. Well, this is what's going on in the rest of baseball. I figured you of all people definitely didn't see, since you don't care about baseball.
Yes, that's what it is. I don't care about baseball.
It was the 5th, in Giants history, 5th 3 home run game with 8 RBI.
Well, how about it?
Can you name any of the other Giants?
3.
Last one was 2022. You probably don't even remember this guy as a Giant, to be honest.
Great.
He's currently a Texas Ranger.
Currently a Texas Ranger who was a Giant.
Yeah, in 22 he was a Giant.
22 he was a Giant, and he's currently a Ranger. I'm not sure. I know. Hang on, don't.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Who fits the profile?
He started with the Dodgers.
Current Ranger that was a Giant. Started with the Dodgers.
I believe between the Rangers and the Giants, he had a cameo in Arizona.
Was Jock Peterson a
Jock
Giant?
Peterson was a Giant.
I didn't know that he was a Giant.
Last Giant to have 3 home runs and drive in 8 in the
right.
same game. Before that, you got to go back to 1961.
Oh. 61 Willie Mays.
Yes, Willie Mays, of course. Willie Mays in 61. In 1954 was Hank Thompson.
Ah, yes.
And the first Giant, so back in the New York Giant days, to do this, back in 1924, old High Pockets Kelly.
Oh, love High Pockets. The problem with High Pockets Kelly is that they would you'd burn your mouth on the edges, but then they'd be cold on the inside.
Okay,
that was the problem with High Pockets.
That's the problem with High Pockets.
High Pockets. I'm doing a bit. That's the whole thing.
Got it.
Yeah.
Also, last Friday, this was fun. Maybe I guess we don't necessarily need the. Yeah, I'll play the audio for you, but So now I got to vamp while I pull up the audio. But last Friday, so the Phillies played the Pirates, of course, for rivalry weekend.
The poop scoreboard.
Correct, the poop scoreboard. So before
is everything this week in the rest of baseball from last Friday?
No, it's not. These are just just notable things that happen. Do you want to
right.
hear how they memorialized the poop
I
scoreboard?
saw it. It's
okay.
not, you can
Right.
if you want to, you can. Go ahead. I mean, it's fine.
This is from NBC Sports. Yeah, so of course they changed their.
Yes, it used to be that the way that it worked was that they had the logos on either side of the score,
And so when the Phillies would play the Pirates, both logos are P's. And so it would say P0, 0P, which when you would see it, it would give all of us joy because it looked like poop. And apparently they changed the score bug, which, why?
I don't know why. Yeah.
Why in God's name would you change the score bug? Although there was another good one last week that I don't know if you caught it.
I guess not.
Hang on, go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
all right. This is from NBC Sports Philly last weekend.
Yeah.
Before we continue with this telecast, we have to address what is on everybody's minds and hearts. July 29th, 2022, our beloved scorebook first lit up the screens here with Phillies television. It was more than just a scoreboard. It was a legend, an unforgettable icon. Its name, once met with chuckles, quickly became synonymous with good times and fierce rivalries. As the final out arrives on its bright and brilliant run, it will be missed. Gone, but never forgotten.
There you go. The poop scoreboard. No longer, for reasons, no longer part of it. No, apparently Houston and Texas played last Friday, and the logo, it was Texas led 1-0, and the scoreboard was H0T1, and they did the Santana bit. They said, man, it's a hot one.
Yeah, it's a hot one.
It was very good. It was very good.
So scoreboard fun over the weekend as well. Big. Do you know who Mick Abel is?
Yeah, he's isn't he on AEW?
No,
Mick Abel.
No, not Mick.
No.
What's Mick's?
There's no.
No, Mick Abel went. He made his debut on Sunday, also for the Phillies. Since we're talking about the Phillies Pirates.
I did. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who he is, but I did see.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. I guess. Well, Phillies fans, I'm sure, know who he was. But yeah, 6 scoreless. Didn't walk anybody. 9 strikeouts in his debut. You
could say Mick is able.
You could say that. He's a pretty able pitcher.
Yeah, if you want to.
No walks and 9 strikeouts. Most strikeouts in an MLB debut with no walks since 2010, when the guy set the record for
Steven Strasburg.
14 strikeouts with no walks in his major league debut. So maybe big things ahead for Mick Abel as he kind of burst onto the scene. Although the Pirates suck, so maybe. It's more because that's the other thing. That's the other.
What he needs to watch out for though is his brother Kane. That could be a problem for him.
So the Pirates
the
Pirates do in fact very much suck because on Wednesday they made history as well and have a chance to make big time history. Hold on, did they? I gotta see how many runs they scored yesterday. The Pirates yesterday, the Pirates yesterday set the record because they lost. No, they scored 5 runs. They scored 5 runs in a loss. So on Wednesday, they tied the MLB record, 26 straight games with 4 or less runs scored.
How about that?
Tying the 19.
But then they snapped that. But lost anyway.
Yes, they snapped it yesterday. Scored 5 runs.
So
that's got to be exciting. They
scored
5 runs for the first time in almost a month.
I got to be honest with you. I can't believe the Orioles have scored that many runs. It feels like it's been a month since they've.
They scored 8 on
Wednesday. I know.
Tying the.
Does it count if it goes into extra innings?
Yes.
If you say so.
Yes. Tying
they scored that many in regulation.
That's the better question. Tying the 1931 Boston Braves and the 1969 California Angels longest streaks in baseball history comes from Noah Hiles. 26 straight games with 4 runs or less scored. Crazy play in AAA this week. Because I also know that you were wondering, Orioles legend, you wanted to know what he was up to. Christian Pache.
Oh, what is Christian Pache up to?
Well, Christian Pache
like 3 minutes
up to. Yeah, he did. Christian Pache is currently with the Aces.
People fought me on Twitter when I was like, I don't think there's room on this roster for Christian Pache. Why would they acquire him?
On Wednesday night, in the bottom of the 9th, the Reno Aces, that's where Christian Pache is, by the way. He was on the bench, but he inserted himself into this play big time.
I don't miss a game.
Yeah.
Love the Aces.
The Aces were down 4-3 in the bottom of the 9th. They had the bases loaded, and I can't play the clip because the camera work. They weren't able to get the full play here. But what happened was that Connor Kaiser hit it was probably going to be a double. It probably was going to win the game regardless. But he hits a double into like the right center gap. So the runner from third easly scores 4-4 game. And then the runner on second, Ildemaro Vargas, he ran into No, sorry, Christian Pache was the runner on second. Pache was the runner on second. He runs into Ildemaro Vargas because Vargas is running onto the field with a camera to try and video, his phone, trying to video the celebration as they walk off.
AAA game?
Yeah, as they walk off, and he runs into Christian Pache. So Pache goes down, and then this is ruled an out because of obstruction.
This can't be real.
And the runner
can't be real.
So the runner on first stopped at third. And because everybody was already out to pound on Kaiser, the guy who hit the walk-off hit. The problem is, so the score was 4-4, and so the runner on third stopped at third because he didn't want to pass Pache because Pache was down on the ground, and then all of a sudden he was out. He didn't want to pass Pache because then he would have been called out. So he stopped at third. But then you go back to the outfield. The center fielder thought the game was over. He didn't even look at the play, so he picked up the ball and then just tossed it into the stands. So that's ruled an error. And everybody gets their next base that they were heading towards. So he had rounded third, so they end up awarding the runner on third. The guy who was on first, they award him home, so they end up winning 5-4 anyway. But yeah, Sam Hillard was the center fielder. He tosses the ball into the stands.
That is some Little League S, man. What is going on?
But yeah, that felt.
Imagine being the manager of that team, and you've got to explain all of that. You've got to.
Yeah, it was good. Ronald Acuna's back.
I did see that. Yeah, that's good news.
He'll be making his season debut today.
Yeah, very good news.
And then I guess do we want to touch on the Juan Soto stuff again, or no? We talked about it with Buster.
We did talk about it, right?
But yeah, everyone's still very upset with the lackadaisicalness.
With respect to Buster, I'll worry about that when that needs to be worried about. Now, I guess I won't because he doesn't play for us. Who gives a rat's ass, right? And did I see the Pirates say they're not going to trade Paul Skeens?
That sounds right. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't really understand why.
I don't know.
Would, this goes back to do you just never have any interest in being good? We can say all you want about maximizing an asset, and you can argue that if you're ever going to maximize the asset, you have to do something like this now. I hear you, but I mean, come on, dude. Just saying now. How much control do they have of Paul Skeens?
A lot.
Yeah. You're just.
Is this going to be his first or is he? He's not even.
No, he's not even arbitration eligible. Okay. Are you kidding me? He's not. I don't even think he's close. Get these numbers right. Yeah, he's not even arbitration eligible until 2028.
Oh my God.
Imagine just announcing now that you're bailing. That you're just we're not going to attempt to be good. We're not going to try. We'll just go ahead and trade Paul Skeens and get the most that we can for him. Stop. That's insane. But I get it. The Pirates are so dysfunctional that I can understand why it is that became a conversation point. But they apparently, Ben Cherington came out and said this week, we're not doing it. We're not doing it, which maybe is just him trying to gin up more interest.
He's going to get it. He's going to up the price somehow.
Man, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? If they do that, they just burn it all down. All right, that's This Week in the Rest of Baseball. This Week in the Rest of Baseball. We do it every Friday. Also brought to you this week by the print issue of PressBox. You see on the cover Felix Bautista, Tyler Wells, and Kyle Bradish. Good cover story from Luke Jackson about the hard road back. Go pick it up for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox. Time for us to meet another Orioles prospect this week. It's going to make a trip to Aberdeen to chat with Ironbirds shortstop Griff O'Ferrall, who was with us this morning here on GCR. Griff, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey Griff, we had the opportunity to chat with Ethan a few weeks back, right? Can you describe what it's been like for you coming into your pro career, being able to do it alongside that guy, being able to walk this path together, and how much it's meant to you as you've made this transition?
Yeah, it's been great. This is year 4 of us being roommates in a row. So
wait. Have you gotten to the point where you're like, yeah, maybe I could go for a new one?
I think we're just kind of a married couple at this point. So there's definitely some arguing, but other than that, we love hanging out together, so it's been good. It's been nice to kind of have a familiar face, going from the complex to low A to high A and a bunch of different locker rooms. So it's actually been nice to know someone. But yeah, I would say we have definitely spent a lot of time together sure.
What do you fight about the most, right? Like, is it who's doing the dishes? Is it like what movie you guys are gonna?
It's really like little things, like leaving the lights on, not locking the door, just married couple stuff.
It's so fun. Do the other guys on the team razz you about it? Like if you bigger, they're like, oh, your husband said this. Like, do you deal with that?
Yeah. It's the coach. The coaches really get a kick out of it because whenever they hear us arguing, they're just like, "Oh, there's the married couple," and I'm like, "Well, you put us in the same room for 4 years. That's what's gonna happen."
That does tend to be the way that these things go. That's really cool, though, man. Right? Like that's really cool. And do you have an appreciation for how unique that is and like guys that played together in college like don't typically get this type of opportunity? Does that resonate with you? How special it is?
Yeah, 100%. I think it was such a shock on draft day when we both got drafted to the same team. It's definitely not something we take for granted. I think we understand how cool it is to kind of have a built-in friend in this process, a process that you have to go to a lot of unknown places with a lot of unknown faces. So. We definitely appreciate it for sure.
I love that, man. Griff O'Ferrall with us here on GCR. So, Griff, let's talk about this year in the first full season of playing affiliate ball. I'm sure the first thing you're going to say is, "Yeah, I'd like to have a few more hits," right? Like I have no doubt that that's true. But what were your biggest goals coming into this first full minor league season? And are there things that maybe if we only look at numbers, we would miss that you're happy about as you've made this pro adjustment?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main goal of this year for me was to try and learn as much as I could and just kind of to make adjustments, on the go. Obviously, this level is very good. The stuff that, these high pitchers have is legit. And every single guy that they run out there has really legit stuff. So for me, kind of just trying to create more consistent body of work, which I think I've been really happy about the past 2.5 weeks. I feel like I've been in a really good spot for the past 2 to 3 weeks, and everything's kind of been trending upwards after kind of a up and down start. So, I think for me, the key is just to keep my head down and keep working, obviously, but just kind of making adjustments quicker. In college, you would face a guy, but then you get to the pen and the pen guy wouldn't be that good, or you'd have a midweek game where you could kind of get your feet back under you. That's not really the case here. Every guy you face is kind of a Friday night college guy. So I think for me, just kind of continuing on the path of focusing on consistency and making adjustments from pitch to pitch is going to leave me in a good spot.
I was actually about to ask about how significant the adjustment is for someone who played a high level of college baseball, because I feel like you talk to kids that get drafted out of high school, and it's like an insane adjustment. But I did wonder, do you find yourself sort of saying, hey, this competition is not all that different than, like, the competition that I was facing in the ACC?
I would say overall the pitching is definitely better now. Okay. I think the ACC does have great arms. Like I said, like, the Friday night guy in the ACC is going to be legit. And, maybe even the Saturday night guy, maybe even Sunday guy, depending on who you're playing. But as a whole, every single guy that you're seeing in high A games, whether it's the starter or the pen, is right around that Friday night guy for ACC. I mean, they're here for a reason. Their stuff is super legit. So as a whole, the pitching definitely picks up.
Yes, Griff O'Ferrall, the Aberdeen Ironbirds. He's with us here on GCR. Griff, obviously you have the experience of having played it collegiately and how that pays off for you. Do you already find yourself maybe being one of like the leaders, the grizzled guys on a team like this? Do you find yourself maybe taking on any of those responsibilities already in your pro career?
Well, I would say the college guys that kind of came from my draft class, we've tried to help out in any way that we can as far as like just giving advice to whether it's high school guys or maybe some of our Latin players who haven't been a part of, like a college team or like a team that's trying to win a bunch of games and, go to the playoffs and stuff like that. Like some of that concept is foreign to some of the guys. So, I think in that aspect, we've definitely tried to step up and just kind of set the tone, set the attitude for the team. Thankfully we have, some veterans on this Aberdeen team that have done a great job as well, but for sure something we've been trying to do.
I've seen you play a good bit of second base this season. Is that purposeful in the point of like they're not sure that shortstop is definitively your position, or is that more of the, hey, we just want you to play more positions so you can be more well-rounded because we don't know where the opportunities might be as you continue along in the system?
Yeah, it's an opportunity thing. I think I've been playing 3 games at short and 2 games at second every week. So, they've said that they want me at short, but they also have said they want me to have as many opportunities as I can as I move along through the system. So, playing second base and getting good at second base just opens kind of another window for me, and I'm totally on board with it because at the end of the day, if I'm in the big leagues, I don't care where I am on the field. So,
one of the things that I was diving into when I was looking at your numbers, Griff, was like you already have 3 home runs on the season, and like your profile coming out of college wasn't about a home run bat, obviously. And I know you had some big double seasons, and I'm not trying to make it seem like 3 projects out to be 30 or anything like that, but still a little bit more than we gotten used to. Is there more pop there than perhaps we would realize if we just looked at your home run numbers? Is that something that maybe you've put some focus on as you've adjusted to being a pro?
I think more of it is definitely there. I wouldn't say I put more focus on it.
Okay.
I think I got off. It was an interesting start to the season because I was kind of up and down consistency-wise, but I was hitting home runs. So it was
That's weird.
Which
you weren't doing
the
I'm just going to swing really hard in case I make contact thing, were you?
No, I was not. I was not. That's a bold strategy that I did not try. But, so it was just kind of an interesting start to the season because that's kind of the opposite of what my college career was. So I was a little inconsistent, but I was hitting homers. So I think that's kind of been the big thing of the past 3 weeks is having more consistent at bats, having better, more consistent swings, hitting more line drives, and that's kind of what's gotten me back on track a little bit. So to answer your question, it's in there, but at the same time, it's not part of my game that I'm really focused on.
Right.
If I run into them here or there, then obviously great, but it's definitely not something that I'm putting like an emphasis on.
You're going to be more of a contact hitter. Like that's your path forward.
For sure.
Correct.
For sure.
You get an opportunity to have Colton there last night, right? And obviously you've been around other guys that were Major League Baseball players at some point in your life, right? But do you go out of your way to try to have a conversation that, as someone who was a high draft pick, right? As someone who, do you want to have that? Do you want to introduce yourself and maybe ask questions, anything like that?
Yeah, 100%. I tried to talk to him as soon as he got settled, kind of in the locker room and everything. Whenever you come across a guy who's in the major leagues, for me personally, I just want to talk to him about anything, baseball or not, just kind of see what his lifestyle is like and kind of how he approaches the game or approaches life. And, those are the guys that are where I want to be, so anything that I can talk about or ask, I've been doing. We talked a little baseball yesterday.
Colton's a different cat too, right? Like he's just,
yeah.
He's got a different perspective on life.
We talked a little, we talked a little baseball, but we also talked a lot non-baseball.
Right.
He's a very, very funny dude, so it was cool to kind of just hang out with him.
That's cool, man. It's cool, and the opportunity to just do something like that is really neat. Are there other guys that you've known that have been impactful on your life and your baseball life to this point? Are there other big leaguers, guys in the baseball world that we might not know about that you've crossed paths with at some point that have been significant to you in your journey?
Oh man, I mean, there's a ton. I'm from Richmond, so there's some pro guys from Richmond that I played with growing up that are 2 or 3 years older than me. I get to train with them in the off season, and they actually are they're like AA, AAA guys.
Okay.
So, I kind of asked them about what the minor leagues is like and kind of that process and that journey. So those guys have been super helpful. just continuing to give me advice and outlook in that aspect. But, you know, Andrew Abbott also is in the big leagues and went to UVA, so he got to come back to UVA last year and gifted the team some custom cleats. So it was cool to see that.
That's cool.
But yeah,
that's cool, man. Have you had in your baseball career, have you had like a starstruck moment at any point, like oh crap, you're so and so, right? Like, have you had one of those at all, or is that not occurred yet?
I'm not sure if I've had a starstruck moment, but during spring training, when I would fill in for some of the big league games, you know, like I would take ground balls and hit BP with, you know, Gunnar or Westberg or, you know, Colton and these guys. And, you know, the first time I did that, it was pretty awesome. Just watching them, you know, I talked to them a little bit, but just kind of watching how they approach pregame and just kind of seeing what they do, that was really cool. So I'm not sure if I don't want to say I was starstruck.
No, I get it, right? Like they're basically your age, but there's still got to be like when you say it's cool, I think that reflects exactly what you're saying. Like, oh right, yeah, like I get to do this,
right? 100%, and just kind of seeing where I want to go, you know, like
right.
Those are the guys, like that's where you want to go, and seeing guys that have accomplished what you want to accomplish is really cool to watch.
That's cool, man. I feel like there will be a moment at some point where like you'll get to the bigs and you'll stand in the box and you'll be like, holy crap, like that's. You know, like I can't believe I'm facing this guy right now. Like that moment undoubtedly will come where as much as you know you belong there, there's still just going to be a right, but I'm really doing it.
Right. No, 100%.
The Ironbirds are home this weekend. It's a great opportunity for you to get up and check them out, and they've got some great promotions, including First Responders Night tonight and Fireworks Night as well, Video Game Night tomorrow, and Sunday Family Fun Day, as well as post-game Kids Run the Bases, all going on this weekend up at Leidos Field at Ripken Stadium in Aberdeen. Griff, are you on Twitter, Instagram, anywhere like that Orioles fans can be giving you a follow?
Yeah, Instagram is Griffin O'Ferrall _. I think Twitter is Griffin-O'Ferrall, but I'm not.
It sounds like what you're saying is you're not really using it all that much.
Well, Twitter, I just like go and you know scroll through Twitter, but I don't really post anything, so I'm not positive about the username.
Actually, now that I say it, I don't know if that's the good for you because like you probably still can lose a lot of time doom scrolling through.
Oh
Twitter.
yeah, Let me tell you, the variety of things on Twitter is unbelievable.
Oh, this is my problem. This is why I can't look at TikTok. By the way, like I can't do it because I'll end up I'll spend 20 hours there. Like I'll just never get on.
Bro, it's an auto hour and a half if you open the app.
It's so bad, man. Like I can't do it. I just have to stay off of it entirely so that I can function as an adult, as a human being. Hey, who does the cooking when you in the house?
Oh, no one.
No,
no one. No, we don't.
Eating at the ballpark or door dashing.
Yeah, ballpark. You know, post game meals, or we'll go get food, but we don't cook. We'd rather not burn the place down.
Fair enough. I respect it. Griff, success to you, man. Really enjoyed this conversation this morning, man. Would love to catch up again as you make your journey through the system. Thank you so much for hopping on with us, dude.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. Have a good one.
You as well. Griff O'Ferrall, of course, 32nd overall pick in the draft last year, and a great dude. Appreciate him spending some time with us this morning. And we're going to catch up with another affiliate here in just a second. Before we do that, I'm going to give you my first real review of peptide treatment from Game Day Men's Health. And what I would tell you is that on back-to-back mornings, I would say that for the last couple of years, every time I've woken up, I've made a noise sort of like this. Because I'm in my 40s now, and I'm just at a place where I'm constantly sore. I started peptide treatment with Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills this week. It's my first week of doing peptide treatment. And I would tell you that I am finding myself not feeling sore when I wake up in the morning. Back-to-back mornings now. Yesterday when it happened, I was like, I don't know. This just might be a unique one-day thing. Back-to-back mornings, I've woken up,
and I have not felt sore. I just was able to get out of bed and get on with my day. You get into your 40s, and things just don't feel the same for men. Like, it might be the same for women. I don't know, but we're speaking to men right now. You don't feel the way that you did. And it can present itself in any certain number of ways. I'm bringing up being sore in the morning, but it could just be how tired, how run down you feel. You don't like the way your skin looks. Perhaps you're dealing with issues, performance-wise in the bedroom. One of the things they offer at Game Day Men's Health, I'm not low T. I found that out because I went and I got a complimentary testosterone test. They'll just do that. You don't have to pay anything for that. If you've just been finding yourself feeling run down, and you've heard that phrase low T, and you've kind of wondered, like, is it possible that I'm low T? They'll do the test for you to find out. And then you can start on treatment from there. But it's stuff that we don't love talking about. You know how it is. So this is a safe space for you to go chat about it. Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills. I would encourage you to check out GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Make your appointment for a complimentary testosterone test or call 443-264-4454 right now. I'm telling you, 2 straight mornings, and I'm only in my first week of peptide treatment, and I have woken up and I have not felt sore at all. And that is a huge win for me. I can only imagine what they might be able to do for you. GameDayMen'sHealth.com, 443-264-4454. All right, we continue to meet some Orioles prospects and have conversations with Orioles prospects this morning. And now it's time for us to make a trip to Bowie to chat with a member of the Baysox. Joining us now, he is Orioles prospect Max Wagner. He's back with us on GCR. Max, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's good to catch up with you again, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Max, I feel like when we have these conversations, we're always trying to talk to guys like at the moment like that you're producing the most. I know the last couple of times you've been through some struggles, right? Like, and some, I'm sure, numbers and production that you didn't love. Do you feel like this year you've started to like get back to where you've wanted to be offensively, and you can see the signs of like everything clicking the way that you want it to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously baseball is a very hard game, but, dealing with some injuries here and there, is not easy. But, yeah, I think I've, taken a stride of getting back to my normal self and, just taking it one day at a time. So I think things are starting to look a little bit better offensively, and like I said, just taking it one day at a time.
What is it that's maybe helped you get to that point, Max, right? Like, is it – do you have to? Is it I got to humble myself a little bit? Is there a conversation that you have? What allowed you over the last couple of years, as you dealt with those injuries, to maybe come to a place where you could start getting it going again?
Yeah, it's like I said before, it's taking it one day at a time. Not being too big. Like you said, kind of being a little bit more humble. Coming in, getting drafted. Being in pro ball for the first time, you got everything, working well, but obviously, this game will knock you down.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like I said, taking it one day at a time and trying to help my team win. That's the biggest thing is, I'm playing for myself, but I'm playing for the team. And, we're trying to stack up wins.
I feel like it's got to be a difficult thing when you're, in minor league ball, right? Because, yeah, you are on a team and you do want to win, but the goals tend to be a bit more individual than that, right? Like, did you have to remind yourself of that at some point? Did you have to say, like, no, dude, stop panicking. You're okay. You're where you want to be. Did you have to have those moments?
Not really. I've always been a team first kind of guy. I'm always rooting for my teammates to do good, and usually, if the team's doing good, then myself, I'm doing pretty good, and my other teammates are doing well. So I think we all know that when we're rolling as a team, our individual numbers are probably pretty solid as well. So, and then we also know that if we're struggling as a team, our individual numbers are probably not the greatest. So, but then we all know as a group, to start putting some really good at bats together, start, making it the next man up mentality and get this team going again. That's when we know our stats will start to look a little bit better. But, I just try to think of it as like a team first kind of thing.
Max Wagner is with us in the Chesapeake Baysox. Sorry, make sure I get that right here on GCR. Max, one of the things that was interesting to me as I dove into you, the time, like the time split between third base and second base has been a little bit more even this year than maybe we had seen it in past years. Is that, it's just the way that it's worked out? Was there maybe a little bit more purpose to that? Can you take me through, maybe you don't know why it is that's been the case, but maybe do you have an answer as to why it's been more of a sort of a 50-50 split this year?
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea. I think it's just the way that it's kind of worked out. We've had some injuries here at the AA level, so just kind of plugging in pieces of what's going to work for the lineup that day. But yeah, I obviously came in as a third baseman, but I know this org really values versatility, so. I pretty much said, hey, I'll play whatever position you need me to. So I like, having kind of a 50-50 split of second and third. But yeah, I don't really have a reason for why that is.
No, it's interesting, right? Because you never know where the opportunity is going to come within an organization. And so I can see what the value of doing something like that is. Are you at a point where you feel like you're comfortable at second base, where, like, if that was where the opportunity was moving forward, like, that you can play that position at a high enough level that it doesn't feel foreign to you?
Yeah, I would say now I feel pretty comfortable. I would probably, even at the beginning of this year, I would have said no.
Okay.
But now that I've played a bunch of innings, and, I've been, before the game getting a lot more work at second, just because, third is my kind of primary position and second's kind of the secondary. Just working at second a little bit more. And yeah, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable at second. It's a completely different ball game going from the hot corner to second. But yeah, I definitely feel comfortable.
All right, he is Max Wagner. He's with us here on GCR. Max, I wonder for you, like, do you start getting to a point where, like, you feel the internal clock at all? Like, does that become, like, you're still young. You're not, there are guys that get to their, past their mid-20s. Do you start to feel that at all when you've been in the system a couple of years? Do you have to remind yourself not to press?
I really don't try to think about that. At the end of the day, I'm trying to have as much fun as I can, and know that, getting to the big leagues is really hard. But obviously, there's been here, I guess this is my third year.
Yeah.
And, obviously my goal is to make it up there, whether it's with the Orioles or with a different team. But yeah, I don't really tend to think about the internal clock and stuff like that.
All right. I respect that, and I appreciate that, and I think that's a really healthy way of looking at it. What are, like, goals now moving forward the rest of this season? Like, again, after having gone through the injuries, like, now that you've got this full season ahead of you, goals that you have for the rest of 2025?
Yeah, obviously, stay healthy. That's probably the biggest goal, just because of really missing all of last year. But then this year, kind of like what I said at the beginning, taking it day by day, just because this game is so hard. And obviously improving offensively would be a big goal of mine. And in categories that I've struggled with, I guess would have been my first year. But I really do believe that I've made some strides. But yeah, I would say just staying healthy and getting a little bit better offensively in some categories.
Now we need to get the important question, because I dug around on your social a little bit. Is the NFL rigged, Max? It's are you convinced that Like the Taylor Swift conspiracy is real, and the NFL is going to continue to try to get the Chiefs in every big game?
Yeah, I mean, me being a Packers fan, I can, growing up when we had Rodgers, people were saying that we got all the calls, which, could have been true.
Yeah.
That's, when you're on the team that gets the benefit, I don't think you really look at it that way.
Yeah, but then you maybe start to notice it when somebody else is.
Yeah. Then I remember the Chiefs came to Lambeau for a Sunday night game a couple years ago, and Chiefs had to score a touchdown at the end of the game, and there was a late hit on Mahomes, but he was inbounds, but they called a late hit, and I was like, there's no way that should be a penalty. So do I think it's rigged? I think there's a little something in there that
maybe they just get
they
get an additional benefit. Where are you at with the of course the Packers obviously wanted the tush push out of football. I would tell you, Max, I thought that was a little cowardly, right? Like a little bit of a dude, just try to stop it, or maybe don't let them get the 3rd and 1, like maybe try to do that, or if you have 3rd and 1, you're allowed to do the tush push too, right? Like you could also get really good at it. Where are you with the Packers trying to make the tush push go away? Does it bother you, or do you say, yeah, I want it gone too?
Yeah, I mean, whatever happens. I'm not like huge on it. If they got rid of it or if they didn't, I don't think it really. I mean, it's a football play. It's what I feel like football is. Just a bunch of dudes just pushing and shoving, trying to get that extra yard. But yeah, I mean, I think it was like 22 teams that get rid of it, and then there was the others that didn't. But yeah, I don't have a strong opinion about it. If they got rid of it, whatever. If they didn't, whatever. Like at the end of the day, there's still a bunch of other plays that you got to defend. And if you're going to let that one play dictate.
I respect that. I respect that. I think that's a good way of going about saying it. Hey, of course, the Baysox, always a good opportunity to get down and check out the Baysox at Prince George's County Stadium. They are not home this weekend. They'll be back home starting next Tuesday for a series against Binghamton. Events next week include Woof Wednesday, where you can bring your dog out to the game. Max, are you a dog guy?
I am. Love dogs.
I assume, obviously, when we're in season, you can't. It's really hard to have a dog, right? Like dogs back home.
I personally don't. Got my sister has a dog, and then my fiance's brother has a dog.
Okay.
But yeah, love dogs.
All right. Glow in the Park next Friday. Fireworks next weekend on Saturday night, plus Pop Star Night, which is a tribute to a very certain pop star. And they're not allowed to say the name because they don't have the licensing rights, but it's the big one. It's like the one that everybody loves. Unrelated, do you have a favorite Taylor Swift song, Max?
Taylor Swift song? No, I didn't.
Oh, you know what? We might actually. I'm one of the few people that's not obsessed with Taylor Swift. So we actually.
I'm not a Swiftie.
But there's definitely got to be some on the team, aren't there? Like there's definitely guys that like openly are willing to admit they're Swifties, right?
I bet there's a couple. I couldn't tell you who, but
okay.
Yeah, I bet there's some.
All right. Find out more. Go to Baysox.com in order to find out more about all of their promotions next week. Max, as I mentioned, I did find you're not like most of your Twitter is just like you retweeting Clemson baseball, right? Like if people are going to follow you, it might be better on Instagram.
I would think so.
Max Wagner 9, if you want to give him a follow there. Max, great to see things taking the right direction for you, man. Can't wait to see what's next for you as you continue along. Thank you for spending a couple of minutes with us this morning, brother. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Max Wagner of the Chesapeake Baysox checking in with us here on GCR. We're still working with Alexander the Great. We're still getting there. It's in a very, very abrasive sound when you just pull the. Got to mute that first, yeah. Mute it first, and then we do things in a really weird way. It's a very we are not on the cutting edge of technology.
Well, it's all for a reason, right?
Here in the GCR studio.
But that's not necessarily true,
We're not.
We got
It's a couple years behind
good
on
stuff,
this
I think.
technology.
Unplug a cord on a 1997 handset.
Nah, it's more like probably 2008.
2008. That's a good point. It's probably more like 2008. But it works, and so we just kind of don't screw with it. We're just sort of like, yeah, sure, why not?
I missed the old the rotary phone that we had.
Oh, we did. It wasn't rotary, but it was.
Yeah. Okay. So it was more like the.
Although I think the way that it worked is it was sort of similar to a rotary phone. It had a punch pad on it.
Yeah.
But it's a whole. Well, also
it's probably still laying around somewhere.
We are trying. I don't know why this works. We need to get more video.
I think we do a good job.
We get a little bit.
I know.
We get a little bit. But like,
do we need to take out the name radio in our?
No. That's not the problem. The problem is like when we book, we got to be for a kid.
For the record, do we want to talk about this now? I don't know.
We can 100%. What are we doing?
For the record, I do try to. I feel like I do a decent job of asking.
I think it's a weird. I think it's a weird thing where like it's the exact same for the like to make a phone call or to make a Zoom call. Like we're not asking. You don't have to be in front of a computer. But if you're going to be able to get on the phone from your car, then you could sit in the front seat of the car and do that, or out in the park, or wherever you are.
Sometimes
I don't want to do not while you're driving. I agree with that, but I don't really want most people to do these while they're driving. Like rarely,
right.
Somebody will say like, "Well, the only time I could possibly do it is while I'm driving." We're like, "All right, fine. Well, if it's that or nothing, then we'll take it." But wherever you are, like you're over at your Sneaky Links place. I don't know. You are the.
Oh, so you did watch Sneaky Links?
No, didn't watch Sneaky Links. Wherever you are, we don't know. Just go into the bathroom or something like that. It's fine.
And video call?
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be naked. Like you can just, if you're sitting on the toilet, I don't care. It's not gonna affect me. You got a live, laugh, love sign sitting above you. You got some seashells or whatever. Who cares?
Some dude wipes.
You got some dude wipes. Well, I'm saying if you're at your Sneaky Links house, like then you might have.
She might have dude wipes. I don't know.
A female. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe
or
she's a big dude wipe.
She better have a toothbrush for me.
You're at your house and you've got that same image of like a Bam. God, what was it? With Bam Margera's dad sitting on the toilet was what everybody my age. It was a hilarious picture to have up in your bathroom. Was his dad? No, it was his dad. It was Phil. Yeah, Phil Margera. Shirtless on the toilet because Bam came in and ripped his shirt off of him. That show was an interesting time. And it wasn't fake shtick. It was legit. It was completely legit. Whatever you got, fine. You got a collection of your dad's old Playboys sitting above the toilet? Yeah, show it off. I don't care. Just more of that is what we're talking about. When we come back in, we'll get a tidbit. We'll get to a bit of wind down for a Friday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
So go ahead and pause it for me there.
I don't know whose mic you unmuted, but it wasn't mine. This is.
Oh, the music.
Yeah.
If you want to set us up again, or
no, just do it.
This August, the PGA Tour's best are coming to Maryland. The 2025 BMW Championship tees off August 12th through 17th at Caves Valley Golf Club in Owings Mills. See the top 50 players battle it out in the penultimate event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Don't miss your chance to witness world-class golf, fan experiences, and unforgettable moments. Tickets are on sale now at BMWChampionship.com. The BMW Championship, where legends take the lead.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas combos, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious filling sandwiches including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
For a second, you can come here. So we're having this conversation because it's got to be tough love, right? Like sometimes I yell, that's the way that it works. But you yell because you want somebody to be better. It's not because I hate you. If I hated you, I'd just fire you. Like I just get rid of you. That's the way that it would work.
So what everyone misses is that Glenn just unloaded on Alex.
That didn't happen.
It was hard.
He did not unload.
Alex,
he did not unload.
Alex has had a tough day. This is his first day. We put him in that
Day
seat
one.
for the whole show. It's been a tough day, but we're learning and we understand that's the way that it's going to go. I
like his hat for what it's worth.
Okay.
Appreciate it. My mom got it for me.
Is this a Be the
Shout out to
Goldfish
Mom.
thing? What
Shout
is
out
this?
Mama.
What is this hat?
This is a Barstool thing?
Funky Barstool.
Yeah,
You
but
might
what-
not like it anymore.
What is it? Like what?
PTI. What is it?
I
forget what you're
Part of my take.
But what is the
PMT,
goldfish?
okay.
Like how does the goldfish come into play?
It's their logo.
That's their logo.
That's their
for
logo
show?
for like everything?
Really?
Or is that
For
just
the
like a
part of
random
my take? I think
Is
so.
it?
I'm pretty sure I've seen it a couple times.
Okay. All right. But why? Like.
Gotta
All right.
ask
Anyway,
them.
sorry, I've gone too far with this. It's my fault.
He's a mark.
Yeah, I guess. So
That was new. You just said something was your fault.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I said no. You're wrong about that.
I'm
You
changing
couldn't
them.
be more wrong about that. When something is my fault, I say it very quickly. I screwed up here. It's on me.
Just teasing.
Like that's the way that it works. So I'm having this conversation. My son for the last 10 weeks has been working with our buddy Steve Johnson up in Bel Air at his baseball training facility. And this past week, for the first 5 weeks, it was all pitching. The last 5 weeks, in fact, 2 weeks ago, he was working with Steve and Dave Johnson.
How's his slurve?
It could use some work.
Okay.
It could use some work.
How old is he? He's
My
10.
son's
Yeah,
10.
10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So last Monday or so, I said, we're going to go outside. We're going to play for a little while. And I said, what were you working on with Coach Steve and Coach Dave last Thursday?
Oh, no.
I don't remember. And I said, and this is what happens. I said, Graham, that's not okay. You need to tell me. You need to try again. What did you work on with Coach Steve and Coach Dave? And then he just did the thing where he shuts down, where he just starts crying.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't remember. And you always yell at me. And the whole like thing that every 10-year-old does and every millennial does too for some reason.
Wow. Fascinating.
Actually, I'm not a millennial. Yeah, you're not talking.
Neither am I.
I don't know if
Gen
post-millennials
Z.
are a lot
Gen
better.
Z.
I don't know that they're better. So I'm doing the whole thing, and then I say, let's go. Because I remember what Coach Steve was teaching. I said, let's go out. You're going to show it to me. And after a little while, we had a pep talk. And I said, he just said, I just think you yell at me a lot. And I said, Graham, why do you think I yell at you? And he said, I don't know. And I said, you're doing the same thing. You don't shut down. You don't try to eject. I want you to solve the problem. Why do you think I yell? He said, because I screw up. I'm like, we're getting there.
And what do you think I
Father
want?
of the Year
What do you
material here.
think I want? And he said, for me to be better. And I'm like, hey, we're cooking with gas now. Like, we're moving in the right direction. I said, what do you think I used to say about my dad when I was your age? That he yelled all the time. Do you think that I love my dad? Yeah. Do you think that I love you? Yeah.
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 Well, I'm 20 years ahead of you with that stuff, and
we went up to see.
and both of mine are launched and doing okay.
Yeah.
They twitch a little
Getting
bit. It's
married,
okay.
the whole thing, like living life.
One's getting married, the other,
I'm going through that moment right now. He just yells all the time. All I want is for you to. This is the problem too, is that his mother is just defensive constantly. Like you can't have a conversation. If I suggest that maybe there was an error, then it's immediate defensiveness.
Yes.
It's, you always tell me what's wrong. I'm like, no! You're ejecting. You're deflecting.
Is that a new
You're
psychological term,
obfuscating. But that's what it is. I don't want to actually have this conversation, so instead I want to, wag the dog. I want to muddy the waters. I want it to be that I don't want to talk about this thing. If I talked about this thing, I might have to.
So I'll talk about why I'm upset. And,
So now
I'm upset because you
I
yell
want
at
to
me.
deflect, and you're yelling at me, and the whole. I'm like, no. We're talking about this, just this. Not if you want to talk about something else, that's a problem. Talk to me about it. If you don't like the way that I do the dishes, then tell me you don't like the way that I do the dishes. My response will be, you can do the dishes. I'm going to do the dishes the way that I do the dishes.
Well, that's helpful. That's helpful.
But it's
very productive.
This is the way that it goes. But we're talking. I just want to talk about this thing, this unique. Like we have a real issue in our marriage where she puts stuff on the stairs, like just puts.
That's
it
a
there.
real issue in your marriage.
Oh, 100%. Because the first time she did it, I was like, oh, this is adorable. Like, she's not worried about the fact that, like, I could be walking down the
Stuff like
stairs.
what? Like clothes?
Yeah, stuff that needs to go upstairs. Yeah. She'll just leave it sitting on the stairs, right? And, like, yes, if it's a laundry basket, we're going to notice it. But sometimes it's something more like a book. And that book...
Or even worse, a Lego.
Yeah, well, Legos are everywhere in our house, my God. You might not notice the book, right? And so... if you were to happen to trip over that book while you're coming down the stairs, there could be serious problems.
Yes.
It's why you don't put things on the stairs. It's why I have purchased small tables for the landing on both floors to say this stuff goes on the stairs. Can't go there. Put it here, and then the next time I go upstairs, I'll take it with me. But don't put it on the stairs because that could be a real problem.
So I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your most annoying habit that she would try?
He doesn't have one. What are you talking about?
No, she doesn't like my manners at the table.
Yeah.
What do you do wrong?
Well, the other night,
It's like a third grader.
I'll do things like when there's like the last like little bit of food in the bowl, and she's like, "We're not going to save this. Just eat it." I'll eat it right out of the big bowl, the serving bowl, instead of putting it on my plate.
It's time
right?
to be a big boy.
No, stop that. This is not a state
I'm all
dinner.
about manners.
This is not a state dinner.
Nah, it's time to be
We're
a
not
big
having
boy.
dinner with the
You want your
queen.
kids to eat right.
Like,
No, what if you do want to?
No, 100%. I'm on the kids. When their elbows go on the table, like, I'm on them about it. Like, there are certain things that I think are our table manners.
How do they hold their
But
silverware? They hold their silverware like these clowns that like hold their forks.
I have
like
not paid
that.
enough attention to that
Oh, good
to be able
God.
to tell you. I have not paid enough
My
attention.
parents were hard on me about that. I hold a fork and spoon very
I
officially.
think for the most part they hold their silverware correctly. But I get them on about little things. But I'm talking about dinner is over. We've ended the dinner. There's a little bit of food left, and it's not enough that's worth saving. And so she's just like, "Hey, just finish that." I can eat that right out of the bowl. The dinner,
Well, you
the
choose
dinner,
to, but
no, the dinner is over.
So
the
to
dinner
her,
part,
though-
I'm not going to eat
but
the
to
meal
her-
right out of the bowl.
To her, that's
Right.
like the books on the steps.
No, it's
to her,
and that's the problem. There is no parallel.
To her,
But
it's like the books.
It doesn't
on the
get to
steps.
work like that. You don't get to say like, "Hey, murder is the same thing as a parking ticket to me." You don't get to say that. You don't get to create new facts.
Depends who you murder.
Thank you. That's a great point, right? What if it was baby Hitler?
Oh,
I
boy.
understand the whole deal. I'm saying someone can die because of that book that you left on the stairs. There's actual problems that
I
can come
see your
from
point.
that. There is no actual problem.
I'm just
You just
saying how
don't
she
like
processes it.
But this is a different conversation. One
I'm a doctor, by the way.
One has to change. Like, we can't put things on the stairs.
So you don't die.
The kids can't learn
Correct.
that it's okay to put things on the stairs. That has to change.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Since yours is an unimportant habit.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you just say, here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stop doing that stuff at the table. You don't kill me by putting stuff on the stairs. You're giving up something little, right?
This goes.
You're giving up
this
something
little.
This
This is a bad. This is the.
He's
this
onto
is,
something
this,
here.
No, this is how we.
he's on
This is how we end up having to pay for the tariffs.
You're giving
this is not a good trade deal.
You're giving something
this
little,
is
but you're
not,
giving something that's unimportant
I
to you.
understand that, but it's not a good trade
but
deal.
But it's unimportant to you, so it's a great trade.
No, it's not a great trade.
It saves your life, and you give up almost nothing.
She won't lock the door to our house.
Glenn's trying to wait for the Qatar plane.
This is the
how
type
about
of
a 2-for-1 then?
stuff that has to happen.
Suppose she locks the door and puts stuff on the table, and all you have to do
You live in the middle of nowhere. No one's coming to your house.
That's what she says.
Which, by the way, I don't. Well,
by the way,
it's not important.
when we were when she was building that barn, there was a trailer that got broken into. Like, it's happened. It happens everywhere.
You have a dog.
And she still today she was like, "Hey, your dad's coming over later. You should leave the door unlocked." And I said, "We don't have a key that my dad can use." You didn't say, like, hey, I'll leave the key under a mat
Why don't
somewhere.
you just give your dad a key?
Yeah, 100%.
You can't give your dad a key?
I would love to give my father a
get
key.
a copy of your key and give
I
it to
know
him.
that my mother has a key. I don't know why, she wouldn't just give her key to my father.
Oh, so it's her job to give the key
to
your father?
It's not her job. No, stop. I don't know why my father's coming over today. I don't know the details of this. This was coordinated with my wife.
If you had given him a key, it wouldn't be an issue.
In the coordination, if she said, hey, by the way, your wife has a key, you can just get it from her so that you have it. They live together. They're still happily married to this day. That would be no problem whatsoever. But instead, she's like, well, just leave the door unlocked. No! That is not the solution
so they're
here.
happily married? Are they proud?
I don't know if they leave things on the I don't know if they leave things on the stairs.
So here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
You can give up something that's completely unimportant to you and save your life. Why wouldn't you do that?
Because do you understand how insane that trade is?
He's waiting. This is an ego issue.
Do you understand how insane that sentence is?
This is an ego issue,
yes,
not a safety issue.
I'll remember to breathe if you just remember to put on the hat that I like.
Yeah,
like, that's not a trade.
If you're giving up nothing, why not?
No, you're being held hostage. You're negotiating with a terrorist.
Oh, if
Stop
we're going
it.
there. Okay, if your wife's a terrorist.
No.
Is she going to hear that?
No. You made.
She doesn't listen.
I took 1 to 2 to 3, and you said I'm going to make 1 equal 3.
Well, you were just talking about extending ridiculous analogies, and you just called your wife a terrorist, and I don't understand.
I didn't say that, my wife. You said that. You made those
You
words.
said
I
this
did
is
not.
like negotiating with a terrorist.
It is, but
That's
I didn't call my
simile,
wife.
like
No,
your
I'm
husband
saying
called
your
a simile
scenario, your suggestion that I negotiate whether I finish the last bite of food out of the bowl versus whether she does the things that are necessary for human life. If you made that a trade, that would be like negotiating
So in the
with
King's
a terrorist.
English, the words like or as are known as a
simile, I'm aware.
And a simile means it is
A
similar.
comparison using the word like or
you
as. I
compared
did not,
her to a terrorist. and I'm
You
not
took the
comfortable
extra
with
step
it.
of making that thing. I did not do
I'm
that.
very uncomfortable.
I'm not comfortable with it either.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I don't think she's a
And I'm
terrorist.
just-
For what it's worth.
Inappropriate.
For what it's worth. I might. I take that back. There are things that I think are similar.
Happy Memorial Day,
No,
everybody.
you don't say that, John.
Oh, you're right. Correct.
You know that.
You're correct. No, you're absolutely correct. I hope people
have a
good
holiday
and thoughtful
weekend.
weekend.
You're supposed
wrapped
to say
around Memorial Day.
a reflective Memorial Day, a peaceful
And
Memorial Day.
Artscape. Go to Artscape.
I really am bummed that I'm not going to be able to get the Artscape.
It's going to be really cool this year.
I don't know, man.
I was looking at the layout. It's really neat.
I'm in a weird place with this because like Artscape has been a massive part of my life, massive part.
And Mount Royal is a beautiful area
And that's
to do it in.
and like I have
I
very
agree.
emotional feelings
But
about.
I understand why they did it.
It happened to be that my buddy Robert Randolph has headlined Artscape twice, since we've
Oh,
been
wow.
able to go back and like hang out with him and drink tequila and rub elbows. Like some of my favorite times ever.
Yeah, I
have
love
been
Artscape.
related to Artscape. Wale coming over and giving me a hug
So you
for
can't
some
come down
reason.
and you can't go down to
I'm going to Sturgill tomorrow night at Merriweather.
Yeah, but then you have
and
Sunday. Take the kids
I'm
to
Sunday.
It's gonna be 65 degrees and sunny.
I'm supposed. This is so weird. On Sunday, I'm apparently supposed to like say my cousin's kid, who's graduating from high school this year, who has for the last
Congrats to him.
for the last 3 years, diligently gone with me every Sunday morning to serve breakfast at the home at Helping Up Mission.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. At first, it was for his parents wanted him to get the service hours. He got the service hours taken care of quickly, and then he just said, "I like doing it. I'll keep going with you." Cool. He's going into the Army. Great kid, right? He's apparently getting his Eagle Scout on Sunday. And
at like 3 or something.
It like right smack dab in the middle of the day that like it impacts, and it's up in like Jarrettsville.
I was just at one of those. That's kind of a brutal ceremony.
And and I don't really know what my involvement is in this
sit there
thing.
and watch.
I'm to understand I'm supposed to say something, or I'm supposed to do something, or something like that.
Good for you.
Maybe something like that. I don't know, but it really has like sucked the entire. There's
life out of your weekend.
I'm happy for him. He's a great kid. I want to be there, but
and
I
want you to be. He probably asked you to be there.
I just would kind of rather it be like a not that day.
Yeah,
like,
or
it could have
Saturday
been
morning or
something like that. Like not get it out of the way so we can get on with it. But I love him. I'm proud of you, Noel.
Okay,
Good
man.
job.
I have to leave.
Enjoy.
Appointment.
Thank
you.
Go sell something for us, please.
Good to see you.
Thoughtful weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
It's very difficult. Somebody said, "Can we say Happy Memorial Day weekend?" And I was like, "I don't think you should do that either." Like I understand, like I don't think people say it to. I just think it's something we say.
I know you're on the air, but I have to ask you something.
What?
Are you around after the show? Because I'm leaving for like 2 hours and be back.
Yeah, I should probably still be here. All right, there you go. It's John Colson.
Bye, John.
Most worshipful Grandmaster. Lock the door, for God's sakes. Leah won't let me be in the office without this door being locked.
Yeah, well, we're in Towson, you know.
She's afraid I'm going to get shot. She's so worried about me that she...
Or worse, the mailman thinks no one's here.
If she leaves, she locks the door because where I sit in the office, I can't see the front door. So if somebody's coming, I wouldn't see it. Now, again, if they want me, there's a window here. They're not going to have a whole lot of trouble.
I mean, you can defend yourself, too.
Yeah? You have a lot more confidence about that than I do. And that's how concerned Leah is. My wife, not at all. She gets angry when she comes home and I have locked the door. I shouldn't be broadcasting this. It's changing now.
No one knows.
Now that I've talked about it on the air, it's changing.
I guess
Make that abundantly clear.
Do know where you live.
Yeah, make that abundantly clear. We're locking that door. Moving forward, that's happening. In fact, not only am I locking it, now that I talked about it, I'm putting a Ring doorbell up.
Well, here we go. This is a good conversation we had.
This is the way it's going to go.
Made
man.
I was trying to look you up on White Pages.
Yeah, I don't blame you. God, it's annoying. Why'd you lock the door? Oh, because nobody was home!
Yeah, but she was going to be home soon.
Oh, God. She also is way more liberal with, like, leaving the kids at home by themselves. Like, I don't explain it. Like, we don't own a house phone. Like, if something goes wrong, she's like, your parents left you at home when you were a kid. I'm like, yeah, kinda, but we had a house phone.
Then get a phone.
If something went wrong, we had that's the next
Can't
step.
you get a burner?
Yeah, I'm going to have to get... Well, he's 10, so we're getting pretty close at this point.
Old enough.
Like,
I think the first time I was left alone, I think I was like 7.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. I get it. But, like, again, when I was left alone as a kid, there was a house phone. If something went to hell, if a fire started, there was an ability to, like, call 911. Or, he knew we had a list of his grandparents. My grandparents' phone number was listed on a Post-it note right above the phone in the kitchen. And so I would know, like, if something happened, I would have lifelines to calling somebody. And we have kind of neighbors, but, like, kind of neighbors where we live. We don't have we're not in a cul-de-sac, like it's...
Well, they can, like, ride the horses to get away, right?
Yeah, that's the solution. Just go hop on a horse and make it work.
Call for help.
The funny thing, too, is the way these kids understand technology, he probably knows how to use the computer to get on the phone. Like, he probably knows what to do, and I don't. He probably has a better idea than I do. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel. The place to be for all of the big events. We're getting closer to the NBA Finals, and I'm going to be there for basically all the NBA Finals games, hanging out inside Sports and Social, doing great giveaways during the games. The 100-foot media wall, it's always the best place to watch all the fights, every big event, delicious food. And don't forget, poker event coming up on June 7th. We got to finalize some details for you, but we should be able to announce those in the next week. So make sure you're joining us. Live Casino and Hotel. Always be inside Sports and Social, but also there for our poker event.
I missed it yesterday, but Aaron Nesmith became the second player in NBA history to have 20 points and 5 made threes in the fourth quarter of a playoff game on the road.
Say it again.
20 points. 5 made threes in the fourth quarter on the road.
How about that?
Second player to do so. The other?
Michael Jordan. I don't know.
It was Reggie Miller in 1994, also against the Knicks in MSG.
The choke,
in the conference finals. Yeah. So yeah, Reggie Miller and Aaron Nesmith, the only two to ever do that on the road. It looked like you were going to add something.
I mean, I don't. It's an anomaly, but it is interesting. Sure. Like
the Panthers, you mentioned it. They made easy work of the Canes last night. First team in NHL history to have 4 road wins by 4+ goals in a single postseason. 4 road wins by 4 goals or more in a single postseason. So
how about it?
Looks like they'll repeat, I guess.
Yeah, I mean maybe.
Or it's the first time it's ever happened, so who knows?
I don't know.
Frankie Lindor hit his 10th home run of the season earlier this week. He became the 4th primary shortstop to have 10 home runs in 10 of his first 11 seasons.
10
home runs, at least 10 home runs in 10 of his first 11 seasons.
I'm not really sure that this is an actual accomplishment.
I mean, he's only the 4th shortstop to do this.
I feel like this is just sort of some...
There's a longevity thing? Sure.
No, I just feel like this is... Like, 10 home runs isn't an accomplishment. Like,
then how come he's only the 4th to do this?
I understand that, but nobody ever says, like, oh, congratulations, you had all those 10 home run seasons.
Okay, then make it more of a legit longevity thing. He's the 4th shortstop to do this.
This is dumb.
All right, well, fine, then don't answer. Let's do tubular.
Cal Ripken.
Yes, Cal Ripken.
Alex Rodriguez.
No A-Rod.
He played.
And kind of the reason that he didn't have 11 is because he had 2020. He only hit 8 home runs in 2020. Lindor.
Okay, but what's the A-Rod story? How did
he didn't do it? He didn't do it.
Okay, but
I mean,
that means there was a fluke. Like that means that there was
because his first 2 years weren't as good. Is that?
I don't know. No, it was a fluke. What was the fluke? Why would A-Rod have
his first 2 seasons weren't good, right?
So are you counting a season where he played? Like
I'm looking
5
up
games?
his stats now. He's not on my list, so I'm looking up his stats now.
This is. I don't like this. This is a silly.
I mean, you don't like that. It's a good tidbit. Yeah,
it's not a good tidbit.
Yeah, he only played 17 games his first year, and then he
counting
only
seasons
played
that aren't real.
I mean, and then
you don't qualify as a rookie without getting a certain number of at bats, so it's not supposed to count as a season.
He hit 10 home runs in 10 of his first 12 years.
Yeah,
but that's not what I'm asking.
I understand. This is dumb, right? Nomar Garcia-Parra.
And when did he switch to third? I'm trying to see. Okay, so yeah, I mean, no Garcia-Parra, no A-Rod.
I mean, if it's 10 home runs, I guess it's possible that it's Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter,
yes.
I mean, but this is a dumb. Derek Jeter didn't hit for S for power. We know that. It's a dumb list.
Oh, also, you know what? A-Rod wouldn't have counted anyway because then he switched to third his 11th year in 2004.
Well,
so
again, if you counted the seasons, we're not doing this.
So he only had 9 seasons as a primary shortstop.
Thank you.
He had 10 home runs.
Ernie Banks.
So that's the question here. Ernie Banks. Cal Jeter, one more.
Stupid list. Jimmy Rollins.
Not Jimmy Rollins.
Seager.
Not Seager.
I mean, the guys that you think of that are shortstops weren't home run hitters. Miguel Tejada.
There you go.
There you go.
It's a fun list.
3 greatest shortstops of all time. Ripken, Jeter, and Tejada. Everybody knows that.
And Lindor.
Well, and Lindor. Thank you.
Yes.
4 greatest shortstops of all time.
There you go. I thought it was educational.
I bet you did. Let's move on from it quickly. We'll get tubular.
Okay, everybody, it's going to be quick today.
What was the main focus today, Coach?
Fundamentals, ball control. It's always huge.
Any early thoughts on the competition this year?
Well, look, this is the best of the best players in the world. It's going to be an amazing tournament.
Tournament?
Yeah, the BMW Championship at Caves Valley. What are you guys talking about? All they ever ask me about is football.
Here's what's coming up this weekend, totally tubular-wise. Orioles indeed playing 4 against the Red Sox, starting this afternoon, doubleheader today. Both games on Masson, 1:35. Is it 1:35 or I thought it was?
I saw 1:35. I thought for some reason I thought it was earlier too, but it is 1:35.
I swear I saw at first somebody said 1:10, but it is 1:35. Cade Povich and Brian Bayo, and then you're saying how is it official that it's Trevor Rogers?
Jacob Calvin-Meyer said so.
But did he? Because they can't announce it. He's going to be the 27th man. So he's not saying they can't say that he's going to be the starter because you can't say that somebody's going to be the starter that isn't on the team.
So maybe it'll be Keegan Aiken then.
No, but I think that does confirm that Trevor Rogers will be the guy for Game 2 against Lucas Giolito at 7:10. Tomorrow at 4:10, Zach Eflin and Hunter Dobbins. Tomorrow's game is also on FS1. And Sunday at 1:35, Dean Kramer and Walker Bueller. That one is also on MLB Network. Tonight, Game 2, Pacers-Knicks, 8 o'clock on TNT and True TV. Game 2, Oilers-Stars at 8 o'clock on ESPN. Tomorrow, NCAA lacrosse semifinals. The women's semifinals are today on ESPNU up in Foxborough. North Carolina, Florida at 3, Boston College Northwestern at 5:30. Tomorrow, the men's semifinals, Cornell, Penn State at noon, Syracuse, Maryland at 2:30. But as Patrick said, expect that to be a little bit closer to 3 when it actually starts. ABC and ESPN News tomorrow for Thunder Timberwolves Game 3 at 8:30. TNT and True TV for Hurricanes Panthers Game 3 at 8. And on Sunday, French Open gets underway and a new home for the French Open this year. It's on TNT.
Oh, okay.
And
I was like, it's not at Roland Garros.
It's at Roland Garros. TNT and True TV starting at 5 a.m. on Sunday. The Eastern Conference Finals, Knicks-Pacers Game 3 at 8 o'clock on TNT and True TV Sunday night. Game 3 for the Stars and Oilers is at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon on ABC. The Indianapolis 500, 12:45 Sunday on Fox. The Racers.
Kyle Larson?
Sure. Is he a racer?
You think he's going to win both?
Is he running in the 600 as well?
Yeah, he is.
Probably not. I don't think that's going to be the case.
What if he does?
I don't think that's going to happen. And the Women's National Championship Sunday at noon on ESPN. Everything else you can find at glennclarkradio.com. Non-sports.
Pee-wee as himself documentary on HBO. Interested in that?
I was a Paul Rubens guy.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to look at that.
That's on HBO tonight at 8 o'clock. Big Mouth, final season of Big Mouth out on Netflix.
Big Mouth.
You never watched
I know
it,
the people involved are people that I like, but I've just never.
I thought you were a big Nick Kroll guy.
I do like Nick Kroll. I just have never. And who else is on that show?
I think Mulaney does.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like it's people that I like, but I've just never watched Big Mouth.
Maya Rudolph, I want to say. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure Maya Rudolph does a voice as well. I liked it when it first came out. I've not watched the more recent seasons. Apple TV Plus has a new movie out, John Krasinski as Indiana Jones. They're looking for the Fountain of Youth.
What?
Yeah. So he's not
Wait.
he's not Indiana Jones. It this movie literally looks like
that would be getting a little more attention.
This literally looks like Indiana Jones though. Natalie Portman and John Krasinski are brother and sister, and they're now on a global heist to find the Fountain of Youth. It's a Guy Ritchie movie. Stanley Tucci's in it. It looks solid, but it looks like Indiana Jones meets National Treasure meets Uncharted.
Nick Kroll, John Mulaney, Jenny Slate.
Yeah, Jenny Slate,
who I love. Ayo Edebiri, Fred Armisen, Maya Rudolph. You're right. Jordan Peele is part of this, and Jason Mantzoukas, who was. Oh God, what was it?
Oh, it's Jimmy's, right?
No. What was the name on the league?
Gosh, which one was
Oh my God, he wasn't. He was Rafi, right? Was that his name?
Oh yeah, he's in everything.
Yes,
that guy.
correct.
Yeah,
that guy.
Yes.
Anyway, they're all
Brooklyn
part of Big
Nine-Nine.
Mouth, and I've never watched it. I probably should.
Mickey 17 streaming on Max now. If anybody needs to see Mickey 17, The Last Showgirl is streaming on Hulu.
What was Mickey 17?
That was the Robert Pattinson.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he's like, who directed it?
The Last Showgirl was the Pamela Anderson thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that either. I'll put that on my list.
Mickey 17 was directed by. It was Bong Joon-ho.
Okay,
who did,
that's right.
Parasite, yeah.
Okay.
Then there's really not a whole lot else this weekend.
All right.
The season 2 finale of Last of Us on Sunday.
Okay.
Also, season 2 finale of The Rehearsal as well on Sunday.
Very good. Thanks today to Stan the Fan for checking in to help us remember Jim Henneman. Thanks also to Buck Showalter, to Griff O'Ferrall, and to Max Wagner. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the...
Let's go, Max Wagner. You're the best baseball player alive.
Baseball player.
Let's go, Max Wagner. You're the best baseball player alive.
Well done. Well done, boys. Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. We will be off on Monday, so enjoy your 3-day weekend. Be safe. And take some time to reflect on the reason why it is that we have a 3-day weekend, please. And time will not dim the glory of their deeds. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners. I do believe, by the way, there will be a bat around on Sunday night. So we're not back until Tuesday, but a bat around Sunday night. All of our great sponsors and partners, including Game Day Men's Health, Live Casino and Hotel, the BMW Championship, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Baltimore's Classic 5 Golf Courses, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us. Thanks to Alex. Remind me.
Alex Wilson _ on Instagram.
Thank you. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great weekend. Go Birds. Yeah, go Birds. Go Maryland Lacrosse.
Go Trevor Rogers. Go Cape Povich.
Duke sucks.